Of my show, go to retirementkey.com.
Termites cause $5 billion in damage to homes and businesses in the U.S. every year. Call Point Pest Control now at 636-798-0023 and reclaim your space from unwanted pests. That's 636-798-0023. PointPestControl.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
The MOU end. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. President Trump says the U.S. will not seek an extension to the 60-day ceasefire with Iran that was designed to give peace talks a chance. The president telling reporters in the Oval Office this afternoon Iran wants a deal.
But they're not going to make the kind of a deal that I feel is necessary. Look, we're in there for one reason. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. You understand that? Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And they won't have a nuclear weapon. The
president claimed that oil prices are coming down and will continue to unless we decide to do something far more drastic than we're doing. The president's Mideast envoy Jared Kushner met for several hours today with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu about the future of Gaza. Kushner telling Fox News.
We had a very, very good meeting. We were there for almost 4 hours with him and his team going through all the different details. I think there were some valid concerns that they raised that we were able to address. And we were able to go through some of the misunderstandings and misinformation that's been out.
Netanyahu had previously rejected Israel's withdrawal from Gaza as proposed by the president's peace board until Hamas has been fully disarmed. The state murder trial of admitted killer Luigi Mangione will not begin next month as scheduled. A New York state judge has scheduled a hearing for October 9th on Mangione's bid to have the charges thrown out. He contends his guilty plea last week to federal charges in the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson would make a state trial double jeopardy, which is unconstitutional. Opening statements have been heard and testimony begun in the trial of Dwayne Davis, charged with murder in the death of rapper Tupac Shakur 3 decades ago in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. Davis is not accused of pulling the trigger, but of hiring the gunman and supplying the weapon. Stocks at the close, the Dow unofficially down 272 points. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insured.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
For the middle of August, just fantastic weather going through the afternoon. Mostly sunny, northwest breeze, low humidity, 87 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy. A fantastic evening. 68 for the overnight low. Tuesday, sunny and 90. Wednesday, partly sunny, but expect developing scattered showers and thunderstorms. Wednesday afternoon into the evening, 91. That's a stronger cool front, 80 to 85, late week and weekend. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, good afternoon. We're all just kind of sitting in here talking about the weather like a bunch of old people do, right? Good Monday afternoon, but it was... You know, I did not hear a lot of the rain last night. I know it rained a lot. There was thunder. I looked at the radar at one point. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is going to continue for a while. And I slept through it, luckily. But
Me too.
There was a lot of rain out there. I'm told that Belle Reve is rather soaked today, but that's okay because the practice rounds for the BMW don't start until tomorrow. There are a few players. I saw Cusumano. I didn't think media was supposed to be out there. He may be flagrantly violating the BMW championship rules, but he got a shot of Tommy Fleetwood on the range. It was funny. Somebody this morning, Ethan, I don't know if you saw this, So they posted. I guess you can get this. You can access things where planes are in the air, and they put a little map out of the private planes. So the private plane air traffic from Memphis to St. Louis was pretty heavy this morning because that's where everyone was for the St. Jude, and they're coming in. And some of these players may have snuck in the last few months to play the course. I didn't hear any reports of that. That does happen sometimes, but they're probably, especially those who haven't played it in a while, probably out there right now getting a practice round in. Tomorrow is when the fans can be out there. We'll get updates on all this from Dan Reardon as we go along here. And I am taking Thursday and Friday off because of the tournament. I'm so excited about this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The top 50 players in the world, including Rory McIlroy, who just kind of sucks right now, but he's got enough points to get in anyway. He did not have a great weekend, and luckily, it doesn't matter because he's got the points to get in anyway. If he was depending on a cut situation or something like that, Rory would not be here. But it's going to be great to have the biggest names in golf here and a lot of media attention, et cetera, on St. Louis, which is fantastic.
Yes.
Now, how about we got to start here just a little bit. Well, let me tell you guys just a quick story, and then we'll get to what happened on Saturday with Baez. But yesterday morning. So it rained yesterday morning, I think, too. But I got up. I wanted to play pickleball at Forest Park. So it's 8 o'clock to 11 is the open, pickleball time, right? So I played indoors on Saturday afternoon, but I wanted to get motivated. I'm up yesterday morning, 7:15. I look at the radar. There looks like maybe there's a little bit of rain coming in, but I wasn't sure. I'm like, I'm going to take a shot at it, right? So I go all the way down. I get off. I have not been going down Skinker because they've had a lot of construction right there before Lindell, like where you go into the park, right?
That building on the left, they're building.
But there's also been some stuff with the road there. So I know when I've gone down Skinker, my reasoning is I got stuck there, and it took me several lights to get through. So I go to Hampton, right? So I get off at Hampton on 44, and I cut across, and then I find my way to Dwight D. Davis, the tennis courts. Well, so yesterday morning, there was like a 5K going on. And if you guys could have seen me lose my mind yesterday morning at Forest Park trying to find a way, of which there was none, I finally asked a guy, he goes, yeah, you can't get there. I think I would have had to have parked on Lindell and then maybe walked over.
Oh.
But I'm literally doing circles. If you would have, I was just talking about that map of the air traffic from Memphis.
Yeah.
If you had the map, combine it. Combine the map of me driving around Forest Park with the amount of F-bombs that were coming out of my mouth at the same time yesterday. So I finally said, okay, I give up, and I drove back. But as it turned out, I think I would have been rained down anyway because the rain came in, I think, downtown in this area a lot more than where I was out in Fenton. Because,
no, it did. You're right.
Yeah.
It was off to the north of me.
Yeah. So, Becky even came down. We've been taking the dogs to what's called Canine Garden. It used to be called Barquet, and it was raining down there, but it wasn't raining at my house. But anyway, we look like we're going to have pretty decent weather for this week for the BMW. Dave Murray's going to join us a couple of times with updates, and we'll get Dan Reardon on a little later this afternoon with all the specifics of the tournament. I mean, tomorrow's really, for those people who have tickets for tomorrow or if you have passes, those first 2 days are just really, really fun because, the pros can wear shorts and be out there with their families and stuff like that. And on Wednesday, it's the Pro-Am, so we don't know exactly who's playing in that. I know Ozzy will probably be playing in the Pro-Am, but we'll get the pairings for that, I think, tomorrow. And that's a lot of fun, too,
that's
because
cool.
It's not quite as, intense as the actual competition. Let's get to Saturday. Fred, I was actually not watching or listening to this game. I was actually literally playing pickleball with Jeff Rainford and his wife, and my friend Jeff Drew at the time. And Rainford kept looking at his phone. He's like, hey, I think Baez might have hit a home run in his first at-bat. Oh, no, it was his first pitch in his first at-bat, and then he hit 2 more. Unreal. Now, this was baseball history. I was at a game. I've talked about this because I remember it, being 13 years old. I think it was my 13th birthday present. Went to Wrigley Field in 1978 with some friends of mine, and I saw Mike Schmidt of the Phillies hit 4 home runs that day.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's only a handful of players, 15 to 20 players that have ever done that, right? But there's never been a rookie that's come in and hit 3 home runs in one game.
The pitch. He swings, and he hits it high, deep to center field. That's back. That's a goner. The first swing in the big leagues.
Unreal.
How about that? Joshua Baez goes yard. All Pete Crow Armstrong could do was turn around and wave it goodbye to the bleachers.
Yeah, he hammered that one, and, it couldn't happen to a better opponent, right, with the Cubs, and we win the series. And by the way, we won, I think, the year series with them. I think it was basically at 500 going into yesterday's game, right, Ethan?
7 of 13.
Yeah, look at that.
So your
rebuilding
rebuilding Cardinals beat the contending Cubs.
But so Joshua Baez, though, he wasn't done, was he?
3-2 delivery. Change up, and that's hammered down the left field line towards the corner. He did it again! Are you kidding me? A 3-2 pitch, and he hammers it into the bleachers.
That's awesome.
In left field. Baez has homered twice.
How about one more, John Rooney? How about just one more?
Yeah.
A swing, and there's a drive, and that's hit well to right field. That's deep to right. That ball is gone. That ball is gone. Unbelievable. 3 at-bats in the big leagues. 3 home runs for Joshua Baez. A 3-run lead for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
He is homer to center, homer to left, homer to right. Oh, my goodness.
Ethan was saying he loves it when John loses his mind like this. It's awesome.
You cannot make this up. Left field, center field, right field. No doubters, too, by the way. Those are home runs just about anywhere. Have a day, young man.
Oh, that's awesome. That's Mike Claiborne there with Rooney. So that was a lot of fun, and they end up winning the series from the Cubs, which was outstanding. Now, they're in Cincinnati. They're actually playing a day game. I think this is a makeup for an earlier game that was rained out. So it's a doubleheader. The Cardinals in the top of the ninth are up 2-1. Ethan, it'd be nice to secure the first game. And this is it a 5-game series?
5-game series was originally supposed to be 4, and as you mentioned, because of the postponing of this prior series, I think it was in May that these two faced off. But yeah, man, what they've won now 9 of 13. So this would be 10 of 14. They're right in the mix for the wild card. So
unreal.
Anything can happen. They're getting the right pitching at the right time. Leahy's been great. McGreevy's been very solid. Andre Palante. So there's been a lot of really pleasant surprises on this roster over the 2026 season. And it certainly helps when you're getting what you're getting from guys like Alec Burleson, Jordan Walker. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, it
lately.
has been. Fred, we're loving it, right? We get to continue this. I mean, if fun like, if they make the playoffs, that's just all gravy for me. But if they can keep this going just with fun and, get the offense going, because that's what was missing post-All-Star break.
Saturday was amazing. Like you said, baseball history, something to see. Wish I would have been there. Sunday, Baez didn't homer, but it did matter because other people just piled on the offense. And that was a runaway as well.
Yeah, huge. Walker had a great day. Alec Burleson has been a top 3 hitter over the past 3 weeks in baseball. And when you look at a lot of like the kind of the sabermetrics and a lot of the big numbers, he's a top 20 hitter in baseball this year.
Yeah, that's
so the
awesome.
fact that they're getting this from so many different guys has been huge this year for them.
All right, I have to hit something else sports related here because this might be coming back in a couple hours for audio cut of the day. This is unreal. At the Indiana Fever Atlanta Dream game last night in Atlanta, there was a mom and daughter. In the meantime, I'm going to set the scene for you. There were people that were wearing Trans Kids Belong shirts, including one person right behind the bench in the scorer's table that was showed many, many times. And then a mom and daughter were told, because they were wearing their XXXY athletic shirts, to cover them up. You cannot make this stuff up. By the way, the other thing is the Atlanta Dream, they never come out for the national anthem. Did you know this? A bunch of teams in the WNBA don't do this. They stay in the locker room. That is cowardly. These are people that hate this country, right? So you have a mom. Listen to this. This is outrageous. And by the way, I always say this. In a fair media world, this would be like one of the stories on the CBS Evening News and the NBC Nightly News. So they can't wear their XXXY gear?
We're made to cover up our XXXY shirts at this game.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes. They gave us shirts. They gave us T-shirts during overtime and told us we had to leave. And this is for the girls. Or cover our shirts.
Yeah, it goes into overtime, so they're the whole game, and then somebody comes down, security says, you got to put these shirts over the ones you're wearing.
This just happened.
Where were you sitting?
Floor
4-3 row
C.
Yeah.
3rd row of floor 3.
And how much were your seats?
$1,000 each around.
Yeah.
I don't know why that matters, but
We were not. We were just sitting there. I didn't make signs. I wanted to make signs, but I didn't.
yeah, they didn't even hold a sign up. They just had the shirts on.
I did notice during the game on the Jumbotron, they put up a woman wearing a shirt that said protect trans rights or something.
She's the one who told on because she was made to zip up her jacket.
So she also had to zip up her jacket?
But I think that's
bull too. She shouldn't have to.
But they put her shirt on the Jumbotron.
I know.
It's almost like the message was made and they said now zip it up to make it seem like they're consistent, but they never were.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right what happened there. But that is outrageous. By the way, if the woman wants that, you heard those, if she wants to wear protect trans kids, go for it, right? I don't really care. That's fine. No one's complaining that you have that. But they're taking people wearing simply, how many people even know what that means in the audience? Maybe they know more than they did a few weeks ago, but that is outrageous that there are franchises.
One of the coaches of the teams, like at a press conference, sat there with a T-shirt.
Yeah, the Minnesota Lynx head coach, the one that had a conversation with Sophie Cunningham on the court. But it's unreal. And by the way, then there's the I don't have time for this right now, but there was a foul on Caitlin Clark that wasn't even a foul. I'll play this anyway because listen to this. Listen to what they say at the end here. This is interesting.
The balance with which Howard takes the shot. She's just kind of on a fade a little.
You'll hear the referee come in here.
No. It's almost like fingertips on a keyboard. I will be stunned if they do not overturn that call.
Yeah, or you're going to be stunned.
He was asking for a challenge.
Here we go.
The contact by Caitlin Clark is deemed illegal. Therefore, it is an unsuccessful challenge. Indiana is charged a timeout.
If you could see this, it was barely her fingers touching the jersey. But here's what Terry McCauley said. You know, he's one of those NFL officials that does, broadcasting now. So he's like the rules official when Joe Buck and Troy Aikman have a question. Terry McCauley comes in. He said that what happened there, did you hear what the referee said? She called her by her name. That is totally unacceptable, inappropriate, and unprofessional.
Wow.
You do it by the numbers because you are alienating that player, and that's what they do to Caitlin Clark.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Don't forget, and I'm sure you know this if you are an Illinois driver, but westbound 64 is closed between 255 and 18th Street. And this is for bridge repairs, but it's going to be down for a week. So this will not reopen until, well, they're hoping, 5 a.m. on Monday. And a detour is in place. Essentially, it's northbound 255 to 5570. Now, westbound 40, already a little bit of moderate volume, and that's right at Clayton Skinker. 70 westbound looks good. And out west, westbound 64, just a little slow at the 70 split. Southbound 270 slowing now at Gravois. 55 seems to be actually in pretty good shape. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. Windows, siding, kitchens, baths, outdoor spaces. They give you quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Go to lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. Sue Thomas with Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, there's so many things that are happening with and related to AI. We have Congresswoman Wagner coming up here at the bottom of the hour. I'm going to ask her about AI because we keep getting these stories in the news where AI is going rogue. And we have George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet that joins us every Tuesdays for Tech Talk Tuesdays. Let me talk about George and his company here because I have more and more people telling me that they listen to that segment and then they're scared after every week, which is understandable. But if you're a business owner, you should be worried about protecting your company. That's what ThrottleNet does. And cyber threats are not just a big company problem. They are small and mid-sized businesses. They have to deal with this every day. And one data breach or ransomware attack can shut you down, can cost you trust with your customers, could ruin your whole business. ThrottleNet is going to step in and make sure that doesn't happen. They're the only IT company that backs their cybersecurity with a $500,000 cyber protection program. No client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. That's huge, too. So if you want to get a free baseline IT security audit, it's very simple. And what George and the team will tell you is you cannot improve cybersecurity if you don't know your baseline. Go to throttlenet.com/971, a very simple way to get clarity on your cybersecurity risk. Throttlenet.com/971, and listen to George tomorrow night right around 5:30.
I've noticed over the last 15 years, no, let's just say 10 years, how astronomical the prices to heat and cooler homes are for the equipment. Because there was a time when you would call me and it was affordable. If you have a house and you want air conditioning and you just want it to cool your house and you want to heat your house, I have a system that I made a special buy on that will do just that and save you money. Common sense will tell you if you just replace your old, and I'm talking 15, 20, 25, 30, 35-year-old system with a new system, you're going to save big dollars. If you're interested in that, call me. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600. Again, it's Bart Inman, 314-293-2600. God bless.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
I mentioned Congresswoman Wagner, who is in the district, is going to join us at 3:30. We'll have a Monday edition of Sue's News and Carl Cannon from Real Clear Politics in about an hour. Right now, our friend Josh Hammer, who is Newsweek's senior editor-at-large, host of the Josh Hammer Show. Hello, Josh. How are you this afternoon?
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
I'm okay. This is the day that the memo of understanding was supposed to kind of wrap things up in Iran. We're not quite close to that right now, are we? So thoughts on where this whole situation is and where it might take us in the next couple of months?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's been 2 months, I guess, since this MOU went into place with those Swiss Alpine negotiations back in June. But here we are. Look, at this point, Mark, I don't think President Trump is particularly serious when it comes to this threat of potentially going back in hard. Most recently, just this morning, he was talking about possibly threatening Oman, which is across the Strait of Hormuz from Iran when it comes to the strait. I personally just don't buy it, and frankly, I'm not sure that the countries in the region buy it at this point either, not least of which, frankly, are our traditional Sunni Gulf allies in the region. So with all that being said, I think at this point, Mark, the best, or at least the least bad path forward would be to set a very low bar for a clearly achievable goal, and essentially then declare victory and get out, or at least get out rhetorically speaking. To be clear, America's never fully going to get out, quote unquote, of the region. It's just not going to happen. I think even the most isolationists among us probably recognize that in some capacity. Yeah. America is a superpower. We're going to have naval ships floating the high seas all around in key waterways. It's just what we do. It's just what we've done for a very long time. But define some goal, whether it's a clear Strait of Hormuz or whatever it is, achieve that, and then just find a way at this point, I think, to move on to economic messaging. This socialism thing, and there's this new CBS News YouGov poll showing Democrats are 26 points more favorable on socialism than capitalism. That has to be the number one campaign trail issue when Republicans get back from this congressional recess in August and hit the ground running in the final 2-month stretch come September 1st. So just set some low bar and essentially just move on with the Iran situation. It's not my ideal outcome, Mark. It's not how I want this to end. But I'm just being realistic here.
I understand. And I agree with everything you just said. And I don't understand why he seems unwilling to do that. Because to your point, this was a guy that when he would make a threat, he would, fulfill that threat or promise. And it seems like in this situation, I don't know if he's deferring to the other Gulf, region because they have concerns, but it's just frustrating considering we're almost at Labor Day. I mean, let's just put the memo of understanding aside. We were told this was going to be, basically 4 to 6 weeks. We're now in, quagmire territory, and gas prices are still hanging pretty tight. So let's talk about the DSA and their success and their candidates, because they are tapping into some of this economic uncertainty, aren't they?
Oh, they absolutely are. And listen, on the one hand, the response from Republicans shouldn't just be socialists are crazy, shut up and take your 2004 Bush era policy.
We have to have solutions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Conservatives need to offer solutions. But I mean, I think my frustration when it comes to this particular conversation happening, Mark, I'm not sure if you've discussed in the show already, but there's been some interesting debates on conservative social media over these resurfaced comments from the Vice President J.D. Vance when it comes to the importance of having the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency. And it's kind of in the weeds.
No, I haven't seen any of that, so that's new to me.
Yeah, it's a very in the weeds debate, and a lot of folks, at least in my time, have been going back and forth on it. And it's probably not worth getting into the details of the reserve currency debate. But I guess I will just say this: Americans benefit tremendously from the U.S. dollar being the reserve currency of the world, being the currency that foreign central banks transact in. And I guess my frustration with this debate is, on the one hand, I feel like I see a lot of folks just saying, shut up, socialism is terrible, take your capitalism and love it. And then on the other hand, I see a lot of folks throwing the baby out with the bathwater and basically just trying to offer some version of socialism light. And I find myself in trying to articulate this nuanced middle position, which frankly isn't a new idea. As I often note on my show, Irving Kristol, who, unlike his addle-brained lost son Bill Kristol, Irving was a real conservative intellectual. He wrote a whole book on this in 1978 called Two Cheers for Capitalism, which essentially means not hip hip hooray, but just hip hip. But guess what? Hip hip is still a good thing. I mean, we're still capitalists, even if we understand that we're not absolutists. And sometimes you do have to put in things like tariffs or enforce antitrust laws. So there is a middle ground here, but my frustration, Mark, is I see very few people trying to outline that right now.
Yeah, I think and that's where we agree as well. And I'm frustrated by it, and I'm concerned about it. Let me ask you, because you're down there in Florida. You guys got a big election tomorrow. What's on the line in Florida tomorrow?
Yeah, so we have some active primaries coming up in Florida tomorrow. I voted early last week. So the most headline-grabbing primary, I guess, is our gubernatorial primary,
right?
Even though it's not that headline-grabbing, because Byron Donalds is expected to win in quite a landslide. But there are numerous others running. There's this Fuentes-esque Groyper troll by the name of James Fishback, who's just positively awful. There's Paul Renner, who is a former Republican leader in the Florida legislature. There's Jay Collins, the current lieutenant governor. Regardless of who you want to win, and I've known Jay Collins for some years, and I think quite positive of him as a human being. He's a Green Beret. He has an incredible story. Amputated his leg in combat. It's an incredible story, an American hero. But regardless, Byron Donalds is expected to handily win this. There's also some interesting congressional primaries as well, including on the Democratic side, actually. So Florida just had this massive redistricting where we went from a 20-8 Republican Democrat advantage and with a 28 seats to a 24-4 Republican advantage. And that has the effect of consolidating some of these Democrat seats. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the former DNC chair near where I live in South Florida, she's actually fighting for her life at this point. She's in a hotly contested primary. Also Jared Moskowitz from here in South Florida, who's one of the only somewhat sane, rational Democrats remaining in the U.S. Congress. He's facing a challenge from this DSA commie Oliver Larkin, who's all over cable news. He was just campaigning in the final days with Rashida Tlaib, which is an interesting campaign choice here in Broward County, Florida. But
I would say so. Yeah.
So a lot to watch for in the primaries, but Florida's going to stay on the right track, Mark.
So what's it, for my listeners here, so they know, Ron DeSantis can't run for a third term, so that's why the governor's seat is open. Is it then expected, if Donalds wins as expected, is it going to be a race between the Democrat, whoever that nominee would be, or is it pretty much locked up as an R win? What would you say to that?
Yeah, so that's the million-dollar question. You have some folks from the other campaigns, the Collins-Renner campaigns, I guess the Fishback campaign, even though it's kind of just a troll operation. They're trying to argue that if Byron Donalds wins, then it's going to be a competitive race with David Jolly. I have not heard a particularly compelling reason as to why that is the case. You hear this kind of nasty whisper campaign that it's because a lot of folks are secret racists. They might not want to actually pull the trigger for Byron Donalds to be the first black governor of Florida. I don't personally buy that at all, for what it's worth. And David Jolly is someone who used to be a Republican. He's now running as a Democrat. He's kind of trying to do the
wait, I know his name was he a Republican member of Congress? What was his deal? Yeah, okay. So he flipped to becoming a D. I see. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll keep track of what you guys are going to do down there, because obviously it's an important state, and I didn't know if there was a scenario where Donalds might be in jeopardy. I guess you can't assume anything though at this point.
No, you can't. And I think Florida's going to stay in red hands. It is an interesting succession situation though for Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is, I would argue, he's the greatest governor of my lifetime. He's kind of faded out of the headlines a little bit over the past year or so, but I mean his track record here is simply extraordinary. And it's interesting that he's not really going to have a successor in Tallahassee. He's really not. There were all these rumors for years as to whether his wife, Casey DeSantis, might run.
That's what I thought.
She decided not to do so. Then some folks thought that Jay Collins would be his successor, but the Collins campaign never really got up to full speed, and DeSantis has stayed out of that. So DeSantis is not actually endorsed. He is not endorsed in this primary. He has some beef with Byron Donalds. So that's another kind of interesting thing to look out for, especially if Donalds wins. Will DeSantis mobilize his operation come November before Donalds? I believe he will do that.
Always fun in politics, Josh Hammer. Great to hook up with you. Hope all is well. Thank you so much on this Monday.
You too, my friend.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There was a stall reported. This was eastbound 70 past 270, and it looks like they've moved it off to the right-hand shoulder. If you are westbound 70, it looks great out of downtown. 64, some moderate volume at Clayton Skinker and at 270. Eastbound slows at 270. And again, as you approach the Interbelt. Now, out west, 70 still in good shape. 64, a little slow at the 70 split. And westbound 40, you know that delay, Hampton out through McCausland. But it opens up, and the Interbelt is fine. Now, on the Illinois side, listen, we're fine on the bridges if you're headed into Illinois. But westbound 64 remains closed between 255 and 18th Street. That is through next Monday, the 24th at 5 a.m., and that has created a jam behind it. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, let me talk about Banner Construction. They've been a great sponsor of mine for a long, long time. Bill Kaufman is a friend. Bill and Sam P. have a great, great company here. They specialize in amazing products like James Hardy Fiber Cement Siding. It's the best. You should not settle for less. It's the global leader in research and development of that siding, and it's great siding because it's remarkably durable. It's beautiful. Comes in an amazing assortment of colors and styles. You can go with the Hardy Plank Lap Siding, which comes in a variety of finishes, including select cedar mill, beaded cedar mill, and smooth. Then you kind of go on down the list, and obviously there's different pricing with the different siding as well. But they can walk you all through that at Banner Construction. That's why you want to have the team over for a free in-home design consultation. It might be replacement windows. Premium replacement windows are awesome, especially if they're from Pella, one of the leaders in the industry. And, of course, at Banner, they're a certified Pella window contractor. So they have you covered in a lot of different ways at Banner Construction. And, again, it can all start with a free in-home design consultation. It's just a phone call away, 314-569-1050, the website bannerconstruction.com, and have a banner day.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
3:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Still celebrating? Yes, we are. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
You know, on the topic of what I started the show with the controversy over the XXXY T-shirts, Amy Sousa is going to be with us. We tried to get Jen Say from XXXY. She is understandably very busy these days, but Amy's going to speak to that issue. And then we'll get a BMW Championship preview with our own golf expert, Dan Reardon, as I like to say, no relation, coming up at 5:30, plus an audio cut of the day. Congresswoman Ann Wagner with us this afternoon, as I think she's here in Missouri. Ann, how are you?
I'm good. It's great to be back in Missouri 2nd District. We're working the current district, and we're getting out and campaigning in some of the new areas. You know, I've got areas now in Jefferson County and Gasconade even. That goes all the way out to Herman, Crawford, Washington County. So we've been doing some campaigning out there, and then, you know, meeting with different groups, businesses, and organizations in the district. You know, just to be home, seeing my grandkids, catching up
All
on a
that,
few
right.
things. You know, it's like all great stuff. So good to be back in the district for a little bit.
Well, how much of a challenge? You know, you kind of reminded me here of the redrawn lines. So, yeah, how much of a challenge is that? Because you're bringing some folks in that you did not represent previously, right?
That's correct. I mean, so about 70% of the district of the I'm going to say now of what is the new second district as drawn by the legislature this past Congress legislative session down in Jeff City. 70% is St. Louis County. It's always kind of been that way. I'm a believer that Republicans need to fight and represent and win and in suburban areas along with out in the more rural areas. So, and then 28% of it would include places like Franklin County. Now, I've represented Franklin and I love Washington, Missouri.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, love. And but now I've picked up areas in not all of Jefferson County, but a new portion of Jefferson County, Washington County, Crawford County, Gasconade County. So yeah, you've got to get out there and get your message out and meet and greet and get to know these folks. So and let them get to know you. So it's,
well, let me ask this question before I want to get to Iran and some of the other stuff. But what is on the minds of most people here as we head into the election? I was talking to a candidate from a couple of weeks ago. I won't mention the name, but basically said that some polling that was done earlier in the summer, it was no doubt that the economy affordability was at the top of the page. But then as we got closer to election day in this particular race, abortion seemed to take the top spot, and I don't really know if I completely understand that. But is affordability in your mind the number one issue heading into this campaign, or what would it be?
Sure, they're talking a couple things. They're talking about the economy and how is it that we're going to fight to put more money in their pocket at the end of the month, and we certainly did that with the big beautiful bill and the tax cuts and the no taxes on Social Security and overtime and all of tips, all of those kinds of things, along with the child tax credits and different things of that nature. They're concerned about safety and security, both in their own communities, making sure that we're funding the police, that they're safe and they're secure, and internationally too, they're concerned about that. And of late, of course, what I am hearing about nonstop is this lurch on the Democrat side of the aisle into socialism or downright communism in some instances. I mean, Mark, we have seen now 7 Democrat incumbents go down to these radical socialist
DSA candidates. Yeah, it's crazy.
Correct.
Candidly, I was kind of rooting for Francesca Hong in Wisconsin in that governor's race, only because she was so kooky and wacky. She would have been another gift to the Republicans. But El Sayed in Michigan and some of the things that he has said or that he refuses to denounce that Hassan Piker has said, alongside him is really quite something, But I don't think you can take anything for granted because the electorate on the DSA side is very motivated, seemingly, for socialism. The young people want socialism, man. What can I say?
Yeah, well, you know what? Socialism's great until you run out of other people's money.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not what our country is built on in any way, shape, or form. We believe in limited government, individual and independence and strength. We don't like we want a safety net, but we're not looking for everything to be paid for. This is a capitalist society that works hard, a strong work ethic with a good value of a dollar, keep the government out of your way, and a strong defense, keep your taxes low. And, it's crazy. I think you'll see tomorrow night in Florida 2 more Democrat incumbents go down too.
Really?
To DSA.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
It's like an infection. There's no doubt about it. Congresswoman Ann Wagner is here. All right. So you and I have talked about this before. I'm really not a fan of what's going on in Iran. I'm certainly a fan of making sure they don't have nuclear weapons. I don't want that to be misunderstood. But today is the day by which Iran and the United States were expected to reach a final deal under the Memorandum of Understanding. And that's simply not happening. I think we kind of knew a few weeks ago that wasn't going to happen, that we were kind of barreling toward a moment that wasn't going to mean seen success. So what is it in your mind that we should do moving forward to respond to the lack of willingness? Look, they want to run the clock out. They know our midterms are coming up. So the president is exerting a lot of patience here, and maybe for me a little bit too much patience when it comes to military action.
Well, I mean, right now we're what I'm going to say kind of in a quiet period. Iran has tried to hit many of our ships that were letting through the strait, and each time we knock them 10 times harder. And we are pursuing a very strong economic damage to them at the moment, especially through our blockade. I mean, honestly, the Iranian regime has no money. They can't pay their soldiers. Their economy is in shambles, and they know if they make one single move against us or anyone in the area, they're going to have some Missouri-made F-18s or F-15s flying right over their heads. So they're kind of pinned down. The president's not going to give them an inch or relent. Do I hate the fact? I mean, we've seen oil prices come down some, but they're still too high, and I hate it. But I remind folks, if the Democrats were in charge, remember back to the Green New Deal nonsense and shutting down our domestic oil production and our liquid natural gas production. I mean, we were at $5 and $6 per gallon back then, too. So now we can be a net exporter of LNG and other things. And we've got back our energy independence. Yes, I want this completed in Iran, and we'll see where the next.
Well, I just worry if we're still talking about this here in a couple of months. I'm worried on several fronts. So we've
been talking about it for 47 years, Mark.
Well, I know.
My God, this has just been nonstop, and I think the President Trump and our incredible military have shown real truth, real American strength, and what I will not stand for is Iran to attack Americans, for them to hold the global economy hostage, or for them to obtain a nuclear weapon. Full stop. So those are kind of the red lines there, and we'll see where things go. I sit on the Intelligence Committee. I haven't been down in a skiff now for a couple weeks, so I'm not.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
On all the greatest, but yes, we do need to get oil prices down. We do need to hold Iran accountable, and we can't cave to this. He's the first one. I remember during a one-year period during the Biden administration, Iran directed over 180 attacks on the U.S. forces. I mean, these guys have been at it relentlessly for 47 years.
Oh,
this
I know.
is the first president who has stood up and said, no more, no mas.
And I'm all for that. I just want no mas to be, let's put some, exclamation points here and let's finish this. Let me ask you one more question here before I let you go. And I don't think we've ever talked about this, but I honestly think this has got to be the number one issue moving forward is some regulation. I hate government regulation, but Ann, AI is scaring the living daylights out of me. We do this feature. You should listen if you've never heard George Rosenthal from Throttle It on Tuesdays at 5:30. We talk about AI all the time. You've seen these instances of AI going rogue here in the last couple of weeks. The way George and experts explain it, kind of knew that might happen, but it's happening a lot quicker than it should. So what is your position right now on whether or not we're covering this enough in Washington to protect Americans, because this is a big deal moving forward?
It is a big deal, and the answer is no, we're not. And now the House passed the Clarity Act, which came out of the Financial Services Committee, which I very much supported and was a part of, and the Senate has just not gotten it done. And that has a lot of guardrails, I'll say, on the AI side of things. I have a piece of legislation, and let me tell you about what's happening with AI in our among our seniors and most vulnerable populations and communities. I have a fantastic piece of legislation that against elder financial fraud, and basically it's kind of like, and it passed the House right before we left. I think unanimously, and I'm trying to get it hotline through the Senate. And what this would do would any one of the elderly or someone who is of the vulnerable population, it would be like kind of when your credit card does a fraud alert. Okay, it takes a pause, If you're 60 years old or 65 years old and older, and you're wanting to withdraw 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever it is and send it off to Nigeria somewhere, they're going to say, hang on a minute. And they're going to have a conversation with you about this. This is a $2.5 billion a year scam that is happening. Much of it, and I mention it because much of it now getting worse with AI. For instance, you can get a phone call. All right, you're a grandpa now. I mean, you get a phone call, they can do an AI of, your grandson might not be old enough yet, but, I've got an 8-year-old granddaughter who's old enough. If little Bella called and it was her voice or her face even saying, Gaga, I'm in trouble. Don't tell mom and dad I need $10,000 for
Yeah, it's frightening.
Y or Z.
Right.
I
That
do
kind
it
of
in a
stuff is nuts.
heartbeat, okay? And so we have our senior community and a lot of our vulnerable population that are being frauded by this. We saw it when a lot of them got their $8,000 checks back this past for the no taxes on Social Security. A bunch of seniors were frauded out of it. And
I have no doubt. Yeah, because look, it's hard for me to sort through. I've been, almost caught a couple of times in some of these phishing things. So it's really, really tough for a lot of people. Listen, I got to go because we're running long on time here. But that is something we're going to have more conversations about moving into the future. When do you guys head back then to Washington? Not until after the holiday?
No, we go back on the 31st. I don't even know when it is, but we go back on the 31st, and then we'll work through the month of September, and then we should be back, depending upon what the Senate gets done or doesn't get done. We will be back in our districts in the month of October to campaign leading up to the November 3rd election. So that's kind of what our schedule is.
All right. Good luck. Have a good holiday coming up. We'll talk soon. Thank you, Ann.
You bet. Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We have just cleared a stall. This was westbound 44 past Arsenal. So watch for that. It was on the right side, really not causing a delay. We have 2 delays at this hour that actually show a jam. One is westbound 6440 at Prospect, where they have a lane down for road work. And on the Illinois side, it's road work on 64. In fact, westbound 64 completely closed from 255 to 18th Street. This is through next Monday, the 24th at 5 a.m. Unless they beat it, they might be able to finish it a little early. And eastbound 64 is slowing at 159. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door, barronmirror.com. We'd like to congratulate them. It's their 50-year anniversary, and you don't stay in business that long by not having a great staff and supplying quality products with outstanding service. Contact Barron Mirror Glass and Door today and let them show you why 50 years is just the beginning. Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, let me show you a way to get some of the equity out of your home that you so maybe desperately need right now, but you don't want to do that because you got a low rate. I want to guide you into Stewart's American Mortgage. Stewie created the bagel loan because he wanted to save people thousands of dollars. He created and operates one of the most customer-centric mortgage companies in all of the region, both in St. Louis and over the river in Illinois. And one of the things I think that really, speaks to this customer service issue is that we give you his cell phone number. So you're not going to call and be on hold for a while. You don't have to go to a website and wade through a bunch of stuff. You can just text him. Most people text. They don't call. 314-324-4440. And he's going to give you an explanation of how the bagel loan works, because when you refi, and it's a great time to do it, even if rates are drifting upward, because you pay no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, and no broker fees. If you are buying a home and you take out a loan for over $200,000, you pay 0 lender fees. So they're going to take great care of you. Another big issue is they can close you in as little as 10 days. That's a big advantage for those of you who are buying a home. So get with Stewie today, or Google the bagel loan, or you can always call or text his number, 314-324-4440, 324-4440, NMLS number 226715.
Dana Lash.
America is that shining city on the hill, such an unprecedented beacon of freedom for the world. People risk their lives to get here, and it's worth celebrating America.
America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Gentlemen, Mark Cox here. When's the last time you actually felt like yourself? Victory Men's Health specializes in hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, and longevity. It's built for everyday men who just want to feel better and perform their best. They already have offices in Town and Country, Sunset Hills, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. They're about to open a new location in Glen Carbon very soon. It's a higher standard of care just waiting for you. Learn more at victorymenshealth.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One question I'm always asked is, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world with over 1,000 attorneys and $25 billion in verdicts and settlements? One way was our financial strength. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. To prosecute a typical case costs up to $250,000 in case cost. We advance them all. Product liability cases can have similar costs with an army of lawyers on the other side. Automobile insurance companies have the resources to fight. Guess what? So do we. Many law firms simply may not have the financial firepower to work up your case the way you deserve. And we don't charge by the hour. No recovery, no fee. If you have a question about your case or wish to become a client, go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer. 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
When legacy automation starts impacting visibility and downtime, it may be time to consider modernization. Graybar's automation specialists work alongside your team to help you identify risks and map out realistic upgrade paths without unnecessary disruptions. Get started with a free health check of your operations and see what's possible. Yep, Graybar does that.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Cardinals already got a W in the books in Cincinnati. It's a doubleheader today, so they play again tonight, which is awesome. We'll have Frank Cusumano, who I think has been hanging out a little bit at Belle Reef Country Club today, with a preview of the BMW Championship coming up around 4:45 or so. We'll talk baseball and the rest of the sports. And then Dan Reardon is going to join us at 5:30. We have the field is in. The tee times won't come out here for a couple of days. There is the Pro-Am on Wednesday at Belle Reeve. And tomorrow is one of the practice rounds, so the fans will be able to get out there. I know that they had the grounds open yesterday. Hey, one thing that I didn't even know, I think I see this confirmed, Sue, on social media, but I was thinking about this last night because of the rain that moved in. They did get the Guns N' Roses show in, right? At Busch Stadium.
I think they ended early.
Yeah, maybe just a little, because, I mean, if they didn't end early, it was right a little after 10 o'clock or 9:30 when that stuff was really kicking in, right?
Crazy.
So hopefully people didn't get too soggy at that, but obviously a little wet probably over at Belle Reeve. Like I said, Frank's been there. We'll get a little preview here coming up at 4:45. You know, we're going to talk politics with Carl Cannon at the bottom of the next hour. Andy Beshear is a guy that some people have kept an eye on from the middle of the country because he's the governor of Kentucky. And his name, along with Josh Shapiro, is sometimes mentioned in, a handful of Democrats who might be a moderate option for presidential nominee, which will never happen because we know how the primaries are kind of rigged in both directions for both sides. But Andy Beshear really surprised me when he said something this stupid, because he, of all people, in a state like Kentucky, should know better. So he's ranting against the Electoral College. I think he actually catches Ed O'Keefe a little off guard here when he's answering a different question.
Fix the darn government constitutional amendment. It is time. I think call for direct elections of the president and the vice president.
You support abolishing the Electoral College if you're saying direct election of the president and vice president.
Yeah, I've said it a number of times. It's the idea that someone would get elected not just knowing about 7 states, but having to earn votes all over the United States. I certainly think it's time.
What? Andy Beshear cannot be that stupid to not understand that, 4 million votes in Kentucky and, a handful of votes in Missouri, however many million they would be, don't even come close to California. in Florida. Look at the number of people who are going to vote just tomorrow in the Florida primary is going to be in excess probably of 2 million people. So the Electoral College keeps those of us who live in the middle of the country, the flyover states, safe from having Hillary Clinton become president because she got more votes from Los Angeles or from Chicago or from New York City. Here's Jonathan Turley saying the same thing, I think, because Andy Bashir, I guess it plays to the base, right? He's got to start putting these little nuggets out there that people might, bite on.
There have been good arguments on both sides about the Electoral College, but I never thought I would hear the governor of Kentucky calling for its elimination. Kentucky has 4.6 million citizens. Okay, it's one of the smallest populations. The Electoral College is designed to protect Kentucky. The next thing Bashir's going to do is call for a ban on bourbon. I mean, it's the most disastrous suggestion you could make for Kentucky. And the idea that he thinks that if you eliminate the Electoral College, maybe people will come to Kentucky, they will be flying over Kentucky on their way to California where all the votes are.
So I guess what he's trying to get at, Bashir, is that, as we move forward, and I'm not even comfortable talking about 2028 because I'd like to know what's going to happen in the next couple of months, but, you are pretty much locked and loaded in a lot of states like Missouri and Kentucky where we are red states. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, more purple. So when Bashir says a handful of states, I think that's what he means. But look, it would be no attention to Michigan. We get maybe in Detroit or something like that, but large population centers would be the focus of political campaigns. And, I'm bummed that we don't get visits from candidates more often here in Missouri. John McCain called me 2 weeks before the election, I think 3 weeks before the election when I was on KMOX. And the only reason he did that was because our state was at play. We were kind of a purple state. You have to remember Senator McCaskill, Jay Nixon was governor. Well, we're well beyond that, even though some people think we can turn in the other direction. But please don't get rid of the Electoral College. That would be a disaster. And Andy Bashir, I think, should know better.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got volume southbound on 270. It's mainly moderate, 64 down to Doherty Ferry. Westbound 44 slowing at 270. Westbound 70 looks pretty good out of downtown. Some moderate volume at Highway A. And 64, it's moderate volume at Clayton Skinker. Eastbound a little slow at 270, that kind of thing. And then it is slower, Lake St. Louis Boulevard, out through the 70 split. Don't forget, Illinois drivers, westbound 64 is closed. That's between 255 and 18th Street through Monday the 24th at 5 a.m. They've got some emergency bridge work to do. Well, I'm not sure if it's emergency, but they thought, you know what? If we do it for a week, we'll get it done instead of dragging it on forever. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You should run MoDOT, I think, or IDOT. Both of
Right.
those. You should be in charge. I think we get a lot more done. All right, I'm so excited. My friend Mike Kinney is actually in France right now from Defined Destinations, but we already have 6 cabins full for the Croatia trip. Now, we only have 36 passengers and really 34 because Becky and I will be 2. So we got 12 people already jumping on board. This is going to be an amazing trip. If you go to the top of my Twitter site, which is at Mark Reardon KFTK, I have pinned the link to the Croatia trip. It is May 25th through June 5th. And I think, one of the things that Mike and I have been talking about, this is a small ship experience. So we're going to be in Zagreb for a couple of nights, but then we're going to jump on this beautiful ship that only has 36 guests total. Big cabins that are beautiful. The meals are awesome. There's a lot of free meals, too, that's included. Great wine tasting and food experiences. It's going to be amazing. So May 25th through June 5th, Best of Croatia. Go to definedestinations.com. Or, again, I have pinned the details on the top of my Twitter site. And one of the advantages I think that you have with this trip is Mike is so awesome. I've traveled with him many times. The listeners that went with me to Spain and Greece in the last couple of years, they can vouch for him. He's a lot of fun. He always has a smile on his face, and he's an amazing tour guide. So come to Croatia with me and a bunch of listeners. It's going to fill up fast. DefinedDestinations.com or check out my Twitter site today.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
When you're hiring,
Have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Suffering from knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, or tennis elbow caused by arthritis, inflammation, or an injury? STL Joint Relief, now open in St. Peter's, offers a non-surgical, non-narcotic solution that can provide lasting relief. Using advanced ultrasound guidance, we pinpoint the exact source of your pain, allowing for precise treatment that targets the problem, not just the symptoms. Best of all, STL Joint Relief accepts all insurance. Learn more and schedule your appointment at stljointrelief.com.
On Monday, Sue's News is coming up.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
There is a back channel with Iran. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. On the day the 60-day ceasefire agreement with Iran ended, President Trump, in an interview with Fox News, confirming there are conversations going on with Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Mideast envoy Jared Kushner telling Fox's Trey Yingst they've been productive.
There's really not a lot of trust between America and Iran after all these years of not having these relations and dialogues. But obviously they're engaging in a very strong way, and that's quite positive. But we're not there yet on an understanding, and President Trump's going to be very patient. He doesn't like to make he doesn't want to rush to a deal. He'll make the right deal when the right deal is ready.
The president telling reporters in the Oval Office this afternoon Iran wants to make a deal, just not the kind of deal he feels is necessary. Envoy Kushner also met with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu today to talk about the possibility of Israel withdrawing its remaining troops from Gaza. Judge will consider throwing out state murder charges against Luigi Mangione, who's admitted that he killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Last week, Mangione pled guilty to federal charges related to Thompson's murder. His attorneys argue trying him at the state level would amount to double jeopardy. Nearly 30 years after rapper Tupac Shakur was killed in a drive-by shooting, the trial of the alleged mastermind has begun based on details in his own memoir.
Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is alleged to have orchestrated the shooting in 1996. Prosecutors say he didn't pull the trigger himself. Chief Deputy District Attorney Binu Polal explains Davis's own memoir details the shooting.
Dwayne Davis made sure that the shooters were armed and ready to execute their revenge.
The 63-year-old faces one charge of murder with a deadly weapon with intent to promote a criminal gang. He has pleaded not guilty and said the memoir was written by a ghostwriter and he never read it.
Fox's Michelle Polino. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insured.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Oh, it's a pretty evening around town. Partly cloudy skies and nice as we fall out of the 80s. 68 for the low. Tuesday, sunny skies. Nice morning. A touch warmer in the afternoon. 89, maybe 90 downtown. Still pretty easy to take. Here comes another front late Tuesday night with scattered showers and non-severe thunderstorms, mainly after midnight. 73. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, it's a Monday afternoon in St. Louis, a little hot and sticky out there. The Cardinals already played today in Cincinnati at Great American Ballpark. Our friend Joe Arnold was there today, not too far from Louisville. Good. I asked if Jennings was there. He's working, so he's doing his show, which you'll hear tonight on 97.1 FM Talk, and also be on the CNN set as well. We need to get him probably this week. Fred, it's been a couple of weeks since he was on, since he was here seeing a couple of games, and I don't know if he's going to make it back for any of the rest of the season. Joe probably will because his family lives in Belleville. But, man, that was a fun weekend series at Wrigley Field, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
As baseball fans, I think it turned out pretty well for the Cardinals, and they got off to a good start today. It was a not a lot of runs scored today. 2-1 was the final. Did Baez do anything today, Fred, do you know?
I don't know. You know, the funny thing about this past weekend, all three games of the, from in Chicago were on different networks, so you had to do some hunting to find out.
Well, so that gets really confusing for people. I mean, like I was talking about this on Friday because even Friday afternoon's game was on Apple TV Plus, which they do the Friday night games, and I've grown to like their coverage. But even sometimes what happens is it's off my radar because I'll be on YouTube TV, and sometimes I'll think something automatically will come up. Well, now I watch it on the MLB app, but then I forget that they're playing at a certain time, right? Because you don't know where they are. Now I realize that a simple Google or AI mention can probably give you the network that they stream and the time and everything like that. But, that's too much to ask to say something into Google, if you will. But no, the Cardinals, look, this is a lot of fun since the last couple of weeks. We got off to a terrible start after the All-Star break, which was kind of like last year, but they've really come around. And, this whole thing with Joshua Baez on Saturday was a blast. Frank will have a little bit more on that coming up later in the hour. Now, I know you guys don't like it when I talk about this stuff, but I have to talk about this because it makes me very angry that it happened. Well,
is it road construction
no,
near you?
It's not road construction. It's not road construction. It's violence near us. That's what I'll tell you right here.
Yeah.
No, look, this happened again over the weekend, and I chose not to text the mayor this time because the last time I texted the mayor, she called me right back, and I think she kind of yelled at me on a voicemail. Fred, I am still interested in getting Kara on
still trying.
if we can, but here's what happened, and I don't know how much this has gotten any media attention. I know it was covered by the local paper, but this was overnight
was on
Saturday.
KMOX.
Was it?
Yeah, and Kim talked about it this morning.
Okay, all right, so what happened was this is Saturday night into Sunday. This dispute happened in the 2700 block of Howard Street in the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood. I don't know where that is. Do you know where that is?
To
it's
the north,
right? Yeah, well, big shocker there. But then they came into downtown, only a couple of blocks from where we're sitting right now. There was a 34-year-old man, according to the story, driving an Infiniti, who the charging documents show as Ronald Lavelle Smith, 35, of unincorporated North St. Louis County. Smith allegedly stopped and exited his car near Olive and Tucker, which is approximately 100 yards from where I am right now, right outside our building, and began shooting at the Infiniti driver, who was struck multiple times in the leg and wrist. The injured man attempted to flee north on Tucker, but his vehicle struck the center median at Locust and Tucker and caught fire. Have you seen the picture of this? I mean, the car was like fully, look at this picture. It was fully engulfed with flames. I mean, how that happened, I have no idea.
They knew each other, and they drove from the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood down here. Is that what you were saying?
I got you. Basically. So luckily, I guess what happened is there were cops that were in the area. Some of the bullets, they say, ricocheted near SWAT officers who were handling an unrelated traffic stop. That's kind of a curious line to me. What is a SWAT team doing with a traffic stop, right? So they say officers were forced to take cover. One round struck the hood of a marked police SUV. SWAT officers immediately responded, took another shooter into custody where the firearm was recovered. And they charged this guy Smith with 2 counts of armed criminal action, assault in the first degree, unlawful use of a weapon. He was also charged with 4 counts of misdemeanor assault in the 4th degree of a special victim. He's being held without bond. The 34-year-old is in the hospital. Yes, and to your point, the story says that the 2 men knew each other before the shooting. But, you know, it's utterly ridiculous
They just
that
happened
this
to
has to
drive
happen.
here.
Well, I don't care where. It happened downtown, and it happened in this area, which is very consistent in the last month. There's a stabbing at Pelker Park. We've had somebody that was killed down there across from the old post office at Schnucks, and other stabbings. We've had open-air drug markets fully on display. The Twitter site, you know, Citizens for a Greater Downtown, they chronicle this at every point that they can, and it's every weekend something, you know, goes on. So while this might have been in the middle of the night, we've had things happen in the middle of the day here in downtown. It's utterly ridiculous. We don't seem to fix this at all.
What the mayor say when she yelled at you in
Well,
a voicemail?
she wants to blame the police board because
How is that?
Oh, because they're going back and forth, and she sued the police board. So no one is actually
Great.
focusing, in my estimation, on actually making downtown safer. They're
Right.
just bitching back and forth at
Ugh.
one another. And why? My position is this, and maybe the mayor would tell me differently. Why she can't become a leader? Look, on this in particular, this is right downtown. It's only a few blocks from Busch Stadium. Fred, I told you the other week, you're out of your mind for walking between here and Busch Stadium. And I think this is more evidence. I don't care if they came from North City or not. It's happening in downtown, and it's happening too often. And we have people like, I'll just put it in terms of where we are right now. You have the Soldiers Memorials right here. You have the library. People come during baseball games and they walk around downtowns. If you walk downtown, hey, let's go see City Hall in St. Louis. First of all, it's a decrepit building that's falling apart, and then not in anything, because they can't afford to renovate it. They've been talking about renovations as long as I've been back here in St. Louis. Mayor Slay talked about renovations, right? Mm-hmm. They can't do it because they don't have any money. Oh, there's beautiful downtown St. Louis. Oh, there's Pelker Park that's full of a bunch of homeless people dealing drugs. I get that urban areas have spots and pockets of crime and homeless people, but ours is pretty concentrated here, and we know where a lot of this is happening, but there's seemingly no effort to clean it up. And part of the reason is we can't hire enough cops. And, I think whenever we talk about this, Tim Fitch was on last week, it's the same thing. Why would you want to be a cop in St. Louis getting no support from leadership or from politicians and making less money than you would in St. Louis County? Who would want to do that? Now you have a lot of great officers here who've been on the job for a long time, and they take overtime and they do as many shifts as they possibly can, and that's great. But we never seem to get to that position where
it's not a priority for her. It drives me bonkers.
How can that not be a priority?
I do not know.
That's the part that I'm so confused about. All right, the other big story, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the 5 o'clock hour, is the reaction that happened at this Atlanta WNBA game yesterday. There was a mom and daughter that were simply wearing XXXY T-shirts in support of young girls competing fairly in sports. And there was somebody else that had a Protect Trans Kids shirt that was seen multiple times on television. Now, the mom and daughter say that person was asked to zip up their hoodie, but they were actually asked to take their shirts off or cover their shirts with other shirts. And this was in the overtime period of the game. So the whole game in regulation was over. They say it was the girl with the pro-trans shirt that complained about them. How anyone in their right mind can be a security guard, a president of a team, a general manager, and think to themselves that it's okay. By the way, I don't think you tell the Protect Trans kid to zip up the shirt. Leave them alone, right?
Yeah.
You can, if you want to be supportive of mentally ill children, you do it, okay? But to tell someone that simply has a logo on their shirt of XXXY that somehow that's deemed inappropriate, look, that's getting elevated to higher levels. You can't tell me that a rogue security guard went and told those women to put those shirts on. There's no way. We had a co-owner of the Seattle team that went up to these girls who were wearing the T-shirts in Seattle. Now, look, this is going to continue to be a thing. And it's going to continue to be a thing because Jen Say is already tweeting out they got a bunch of tickets for this week in New York when I think the Fever are going to play there. And there's going to be XXXY shirts everywhere. So what will the league do? What they should do is nothing. Allow them to wear their shirts. Becky told me I should have worn my gear today because I have a lot of XXXY, and I support everything that Jen's doing and what Riley Gaines is all about and Sophie Cunningham. But this is an interesting cultural moment because it's kind of coming to a head, And I don't know how many people out there really understand the role of XXXY and what Riley's trying to do. And if you're just a casual fan and you're seeing some of this, I think it might be eye-opening for people. So it's just disgusting that they're having people cover up their shirts. Wear your XXXY gear. By the way, Jen Say has never paid me a dime for talking about her company, nor do I want it. I just love the gear, and it's great quality clothes, and I wear it, and my wife wears it because we support the whole, process of allowing young girls like my daughter, who I had a great picture that was up on the Facebook and the Instagram of my daughter from yesterday. She played volleyball at Sacred Heart. She's been taking camps all year. She wants to compete against girls, not boys.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a stall reported near the 55-44 split. So watch out for that. It's southbound just past 44 in the right lane, kind of at the beginning there, just past the merge where they all come together. So a little bit of a delay in that area. Now, westbound 64 is already lining up Hampton out through McCausland. We've got moderate volume in both directions, 6440 at 270, and then it's slowing again out by Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, the real jam is on the Illinois side. 64 is jammed westbound, approaching 157 because of the closure of westbound 64 between 255 and 18th Street. And then eastbound, we've got the ongoing road work near 159. That causing a delay as well. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, Sue's News is coming up, guys. I want to guide you into some excellent health care at Game Day Men's Health in Chesterfield or O'Fallon. Matt Lawrence is the guy who runs those clinics. He's awesome. If you meet Matt, you'll like him. I think you're going to want to see his team because he's put a great team together both in Chesterfield and in O'Fallon. And here's what they're offering. It's a world-class facility with a world-class experience. So it's a great clinic that is built, as they say, for every journey, really growing across the U.S. and Canada. They have 400-plus clinics, including those two in St. Louis that I mentioned. And if you are someone that's interested in testosterone replacement therapy, or maybe you just don't know much about it, you've heard about it, you're a little gun shy, what do? You make an appointment at Game Day. They'll take your blood within 20 minutes. This is a free visit, by the way. They'll come up with a game plan for you. It might be something that involves TRT. It could be vitamin B12 injections or something else related to peptides or vitamins. They have all of that. Medical weight loss, GLP-1s. They have their own pharmacy at Game Day as well. So it's an awesome experience, and it is a men's health clinic built for every journey. They're going to take great care of you. Tell them that you heard about it here on 97.1 FM Talk. Again, the website, you can make an appointment today at GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Let's just face it, right? Your home should work for you, not against you. Hi, it's Kim, and if you've been dreaming of a new kitchen, bathroom, or a finished basement, now's the time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They're St. Louis's trusted experts in turning houses into dream homes. Just imagine this, a spa-like bathroom, maybe a chef-inspired kitchen, or how about a cozy basement perfect for some movie nights? Their team handles everything from design to installation so you can just sit back and enjoy the process. Visit lakesidearty.com today to start your dream renovation.
Here's a great offer from my friends at Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet clean for $119. That's $106 in savings. You know Zero Res, the zero residue carpet cleaner. Mark Cox here. Listen, they leave your carpets truly clean with none of that dirt-attracting soap or harsh chemicals. Reach out today. This month, you're going to get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $119. Call 314-474-2020 or visit ZeroResSTL.com.
It is not hard to destroy a college. Last season, the podcast Campus Files brought you stories of fraternity drug rings, stolen body parts, campus cults, and more.
And now, Campus Files is back for another season.
There's a guy screaming into his phone. He's like, I just saw Charlie Kirk get assassinated right in front of me.
Every week is a new episode and a new story.
It was so chaotic. It's almost like a university under siege.
Listen to and follow Campus Files. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
One of my favorite political pundits, Carl Cannon from Real Clear Politics, coming up here in just a little bit at 4:30. Cusumano, who's been out at Belle Reve, kind of taking a look at some of the contenders in for the BMW Championship, joins us in about 25 minutes as well. Right now, we got to do this.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. brought to you by Sue.
Let me wish you a happy National Thrift Shop Day. Fred goes to the estate sales with his sisters, but you're not a thrift shop person, are you? Or
No,
are you?
I'll go to the thrift shop.
Oh, I
Sure.
like it. What? You are a sports themed.
I look for sports themed stuff.
Have you gone to a thrift shop, Mark? That doesn't seem like your jam.
Well, yeah, I think I've gone to we donate a lot to Goodwill, and Goodwill
Same.
has had a thrift shop. I think I've just kind of wandered in there. I don't know that I've really done any actual buying.
Okay, you know what it's great for is Halloween costumes, or if you get, invited to a theme party. I've done that. Years ago on KZK, we did some kind of Halloween thing there, and we found like multiple different costumes you could do.
The thing about Halloween, my wife actually came up with this great idea. We never executed it, and maybe we couldn't do it, and maybe people wouldn't bite. But she's like, when you have a Halloween costume for a kid, you basically wear it one time, the kid grows out of it, right?
Yeah.
So she was like, we should do like a used Halloween costume drive.
Oh,
because you
that's
probably
a good
could put a
idea.
lot of that to good use. Nobody ever does that, but that's why there's probably so many at Goodwill, because
Yes.
you wear it a few hours, and that's it.
And
That's
you
it.
can,
Boom.
you're right, and you can put them together. We put together like a Rosie the Riveter. You could do a Back to the Future. You could find different things in there.
I was at a thrift shop, Goodwill thrift shop on Bayless, and like a sorority came in of maybe 7 or 8 young women, and they were going to a party, and it was a dress up in thrift clothes. So whatever the most outrageous clothing they could find, they
that's
were buying.
awesome.
Fred, if I were you, I'd probably have stuck around for that show. That's just me, but how was that experience?
Were they talented, Fred?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's also National Pineapple Juice Day, which I don't really think about or drink, which is probably why they have that.
I don't mind it, but I don't really think about it or drink it either.
No.
You know,
Fred?
every once in a while when I have it,
No.
I'm like, oh, that's kind of good. But
I'm more orange juice.
Yeah, that's fair. Are you back on the milk?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What-
I
wait,
thought so.
was there a
Oh,
pause
yeah,
on the
but
milk?
We had to pause on the milk so we could get him down into a certain flying weight so he could go in the helicopter.
Well, that was last year, though,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
The year
yeah,
before.
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, nowhere as much as I used to be.
Okay. And it's National I Love My Feet Day. That's right. Pamper your feet today, people. Men don't have to do it, maybe. I
Well,
like
men
my
should
feet.
do it more than women, probably, based on
Well,
the,
yeah.
you
Just
know,
don't wear flip-flops
out
unless
there.
you're at the beach, and we're all happy.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
with you on that
mind
rule.
mine.
I violated that rule for many
Yeah.
years when I was young. I'm totally convinced it's appropriate now. Don't do that, guys.
What flipped you?
Shame.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't remember what
that's a valid
particular shame, but
answer.
yeah,
That's a
maybe it was
valid
just
answer.
taking a good gander at my own feet, thinking I don't think people should see those, right? In
You're
public.
a good man.
Yeah.
Yes. On this day in history, this freaked me out. I know it comes up every year. 69 years ago, it's 1957, and Richie Ashburn of the Philadelphia Phillies hits a foul ball that accidentally hits Alice Roth in the stands. Now, it's terrible. I mean, it hits her hard enough that it breaks her nose. And as she is being taken out on a stretcher, because, it's a nose, so it's bleeding a lot, Ashburn comes up to bat again and hit her with another foul ball.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
I didn't know that
Crazy.
one.
Yes.
We tell this story because we were at, and this wouldn't happen anymore because the netting is longer, but one time,
yeah.
6-7 years ago, we were at a Cardinals-Brewers game. Ryan Braun was batting, and he hit a foul ball to a guy that was like just a couple of seats down from us. The next at bat, hit one to the same guy.
How is that possible?
I know. Well, he just sliced it off the bat the right way.
Wow. And you've got something, don't you, music-wise?
This day in history. So this
Yeah.
would be if we were on the air yesterday, but I wanted to throw it in because I think next year is going to be more significant. It'll be the 50th anniversary. This is 49 years since Elvis Presley died. It was yesterday, August 16th, 1977, found unresponsive in the bathroom floor of Graceland in Memphis. I went, I've told you the story. I went in the 11th anniversary, so that would have been 1988. I was doing some TV and radio work in Columbia, so I went with a crew from KMIZ TV, and it was cool because you interviewed, at that time there were a lot of people who were still Elvis fans that had gone to school with him.
Oh, wow.
And they would have their high school yearbooks, and they would tell stories. And then I went to this memorial service on the campus of what was then Memphis State University, and people just shared stories about Elvis, about his generosity, and he loved the ladies and all that stuff. It was a great experience. But that's 50 years next year, Elvis.
I was at South County Shopping Center at the Seven Kitchens.
And you remember
eating with my aunt and uncle.
where
Yeah,
you
I
were.
totally remember.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of those days, right?
Wow. They said it was one of the most, what shall I say, biggest days for florists because fans from all over sent flowers to Graceland.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it beat out Valentine's Day. It was a huge day for florists, and FTD was the thing back then. So, yeah, it was a crazy day. All right, on this day in history, it was 18 years ago, you guys. Oh, my gosh. 2008, when Michael Phelps became the first person to win 8 gold medals in a single Olympic Games. I mean,
how much fun was that Olympics?
It was
that was a great Olympics.
Fun.
Yeah. You know what I flash back to seeing is his mom in the stands just cheering like crazy.
Yes. Oh, gosh, that was so great. It's just, I don't know, it was just really cool. I can't believe it was that long ago. But that reminded me of Katie Ledecky, who was also outstanding. But she lost in the 400 and 800 meter freestyle race at a major international finals event this weekend. It was the first time she lost at the 800 meter in any kind of international finals. And Lanny Pallister from Australia is the one who beat her. But Ledecky still won gold in the 1,500 meter freestyle.
That's kind of amazing.
Nobody can touch her on that thing.
That's still amazing.
It really is. And this was the 2026 Pan-Pacific Swimming Championships in California. How old do you think Katie Ledecky is?
She's got to be 34.
Okay, I'm going to say 38.
She's only 29.
Oh, all right. Well,
all right. It's
just so
hard
young,
to keep up. Yeah, that's how young she was. Michael Phelps, by the way, was 31 when he won his last gold medal for swimming in the Olympics in 2016. That one was a relay.
So that means he's basically 40 now.
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, a side note, American swimmer Kate Douglas set a 50-meter freestyle record twice in one day at this event. She did one in 23:49. That is nuts. So we've got an up-and-comer. She's not a distance
you like that.
run. But, yeah, I'll take it. We were going to talk about this just briefly, but Hayden Panettiere passed away yesterday. She was only 36. It's just a tragedy.
Cardiac arrest, but we think drugs were involved.
She was in Nashville. She was in the Scream movies. She was in A Bug's Life. She was a voice there. Heroes from 2006 to 2010.
Here again, I was shocked when I heard her age at 36 because I just, you forget that she was so young when everyone got to know her at first. She was a child actress, so very young. And she had a lot of issues, I think, a lot of problems, unfortunately.
She did. Instacart has released data on the most popular sodas on their service. So we are going to find out. And one kind dominated most of the country, and it isn't Coke.
Dr. Pepper.
That is correct.
It's unreal how popular Dr. Pepper is.
And
it's just not my thing, but I'm just shocked. My daughter likes it.
I loved it when I
drank
drank
A lot of people
soda.
really, that's they've got a great big fan,
They really
audience
do.
there.
Okay, Dr. Pepper is number 1 in 17 states. Classic Coke is only number 1 in 3. So Dr. Pepper is number 1 in Missouri. Also, Kansas, Colorado, Alaska, Arizona, Montana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. Now, for Mark, we have Diet Coke.
Mm-hmm.
It is the top choice in 4 states, one of which is Illinois.
God bless him.
Illinois, Utah, Massachusetts, and Washington. So, do with that what you will.
I've got... I had all those stocked up because they were $9.96. The rollback at Walmart.
Yeah.
Now they're back
What are
up.
they?
$14.97. So think about that. That's that is a $10 buy 2 24 packs. That's $10 increase.
You could be selling them out of your garage.
I
Yes,
should
you
be.
could.
They're almost all gone,
Side
though, Fred.
business.
My stash is almost all gone,
Good
unfortunately.
Gravy.
Wow.
How many do you have in a day?
I'm
and a
not talking. I'm
weekend?
not going to answer that question anymore. I'm just going to stay. I'm taking the 5th. I'm taking the 5th, just like
Okay.
Dr. Fauci.
All right.
Do you have more Diet Cokes or more animals?
Good question.
The former.
Back to school season is coming on strong. Some people feel like it's already over. And that can be a huge bummer if you're not prepared. Mark, of course, is just happy as heck.
Alexa had a thing this morning for like 3 hours at Rockwood South Middle because it was like
That's her first day of middle
initiation,
school,
if you will. She's got something on Wednesday night. But yeah, she is ready. She's been like waking up early in the morning every morning because that's, the start time. She's so excited. Again, I was telling her over the weekend, I really think somebody should do a, you know how they do raffles and stuff like that?
Yeah.
They should do a fundraiser where there's a raffle where the winner their kid gets to go to school like a week early. And the second place person gets them 3 days early. And the third place gets them because I would pay good money just to get her there tomorrow. Not next Monday.
Oh, that's fair. We talk about how bad. Did I tell you that we have a wedding that we're going to attend, but the invitation never showed up, so the guy had to text us and say, hey, are you coming? And then I saw this story today. A California man just got a postcard from his parents from Copenhagen that they mailed in July of the year 2000. That is correct.
Wow.
It's been floating around somewhere until then. Where is it?
2000?
Yes.
Okay.
And they've both passed away, so he was shocked. Anyway, finally at Sue's News, we have today's random fact. Burger King can't call itself Burger King in Australia because a small restaurant already has the trademark. So all Australian locations of Burger King are called Hungry Jacks.
That doesn't work for me. No, that doesn't work.
I'm Dan Loney with your money now. L3 Harris Technologies has removed Chairman and CEO Christopher Kubasik after it was deemed that he violated the company's code of conduct. There is no word as to what the violation was, but reports say that it has no material impact on the company's financial reporting, controls, or customer relationships. L3 Harris shares were down 4.5% today. Formula One and Disney have extended their partnership called Fuel the Magic. The new deal will run through the 2028 F1 season. The two sides have highlighted Disney at various races in the last 2 years, and now will be adding the Cars franchise to the mix, with Lightning McQueen involved. Red ink across the board on Wall Street once again today. The Dow was down 272 points, ending the session at 53,460. NASDAQ off 84 points. S&P 500 down by 40. West Texas crude up 2.5% at $84.50 a barrel. That's your money now.
That'll be $84.52.
Perfect. Grab the bags, honey.
Mom, why do you always check your phone before we pay?
I'm just claiming my cash back on the Upside app. Since we're getting the groceries here and we filled up the car on the way, I've already earned enough this morning to pay for that pizza night we're having Friday.
Wait, so the app pays for pizza?
Not exactly, but the cash I earn on stuff we need helps us pay for the stuff we want. It's just a little win for our family every week.
Get more out of your everyday. Upside is the free app that gets you cash back on routine purchases like gas, groceries, and dining out at more than 100,000 locations nationwide. No points, no rebates, just cash back straight to your wallet. Download the free Upside app and use promo code ACT5 to get a $5 bonus on your first purchase. That's promo code ACT5 to get a $5 bonus. Remember, use promo code ACT5.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Well, the Dow was down just a little bit today, 272 points, but the market's been on fire, and I want to talk about this related to the Retirement Advisor Group, because if you need a way to make sure that you can, stay solvent, I guess the word would be, through your retirement years, Bob and Tammy Kershaw want to help you make that happen. It's not easy. Inflation is eating away. We know the market is sometimes shaky. How do you lock in the gains that you've made over the years and not worry about losses? Well, that's exactly the strategy. It's safely linking to the market that they have, helping you guard your golden years. And this is a great opportunity for you. We just had another seminar last week, but you don't have to wait for the next seminar. You can go one-on-one into the office. They'll give you a free copy of their latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. And they'll give you a strategy. They'll give you a plan to make sure that you can live the rest of your life on the income that you have. Make an appointment today, 314-993-9494, or register online at retirementkey.com. There's a register tab right there on the front. And when we have seminars, you can press that, and that's how you register for the seminar. But you just press that button. You can schedule, go one-on-one with Bob and Tammy. Tell them that we sent you over, retirementkey.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
2026 is a year to celebrate. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Well, the practice rounds for the BMW Championship start tomorrow at Belle Reef Country Club. Frank Cusumano's been hanging out there today a little bit. I saw a shot of Tommy Fleetwood at the range. Frank joins us in about 15 minutes. And we'll talk a little bit about the Cardinals, too. They played today in Cincinnati. It's a doubleheader. They won Game 1. Our friend Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief for Real Clear Politics, is back with us this afternoon. Hello, Carl. How are you?
Mark, I'm great. You're going to get to see Scotty Scheffler this week, huh?
I am so excited. I took Thursday and Friday off because I'm such a fan of professional golf. And, yeah, this is going to be fun. The top 50 players in the world here at Belle Reef Country Club starting today. So, yeah, he was on fire over the weekend, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He's quite an impressive athlete. How have you been?
I've been good. I have to tell you this one story because I haven't talked to you. I don't know what it is about June 18th, but my browser, I use mainly Safari. And whenever I start my morning, so I have all my tabs open, the New York Times, the LA Times, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Real Clear Politics is my first tab. And for whatever reason, my browser defaults back every day to June 18th. I don't know what it was about that day. It was a Thursday. But every day I look at Real Clear and it says June 18th. I'm sometimes tempted on, to click something that was from 2 months ago. I don't know why that is an aberration on my Safari, but I just had to share that with you because I always kind of go back in time.
It's our fault.
It's just weird. It's consistent every day. And every day I think it's not going to do it. And it does. But I'm a fan of Real Clear. But let's talk a little bit about politics. Here's President Trump yesterday in Long Island.
Pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States. Essentially, that's what no ships get through unless we want them to.
Okay, well, he's been talking about this for a while, and I think there's growing impatience on the Iran front. I'm in the camp that thinks this thing has gotten way, way, out of control, and I don't know what the end game is here. The president seems unwilling to put the finishing touches on it, although he threatens every day to clobber him. Carl, what's going on here with this?
Well, Mark, he may regret starting this war. He thought the regime would collapse. It didn't. He's stuck. He doesn't want to agree to their insane demands, but he doesn't want this thing to go on. He ran against forever wars. He doesn't want it to go on even to November, even to October, let alone forever. So he's got a difficult position. But, we've had General John Teichert, a retired Air Force Brigadier General, on our show, and he said that this bombing, that what the United States, the administration has to do is start targeting more effectively, just take, maybe Carg Island, do things that really put this regime under pressure and either bring them to the bargaining table or have their people overthrow them. That the way they've been waging the war, it's impressive what the U.S. military can do, but it's not strategic enough.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on all that, but it doesn't seem like it's strategic enough, and I just don't know. I have a hard time, honestly, Carl, sitting here today feeling like 2 months from now, when we're into this election in November, 2.5 months, that things will be different because I don't see any sign of that. I mean, we haven't had any really over the summer. Now, if the president does decide to really put his thumb down and do something with Carg Island or something like that, well, that might change the circumstances. But there seems to be this wish or this hope that they're talking to the right people inside Iran, and that never manifests into anything positive.
Well, and the ordinary Americans and even some intelligence officers in this country are not sure who's running that country, Mark, and it may change on any given day. They have hardliners there that think they're winning the war. They also have people there who are hearing from their families, look, we're under tremendous hardship here. And so there still is the hope in the administration that at some point this regime collapses. But, other, critics, Mark Kelly and some people have said, hope is not a strategy. And I think that's a fair point.
Well, I don't think hope is a strategy. So I'm looking for a little bit more specifics, and I don't seem to be getting it. Let's talk about just the nature of where the parties are right now heading into those midterms, because obviously the conventional wisdom is always the party that's not in control is going to win big, and the party that is in control is going to get their asses kicked in November. That's still certainly a possibility. But here's my question for you. Does the rise of these DSA candidates, obviously El Sayed, I don't know if he's completely latched onto them in Michigan, but he's certainly close with Hassan Piker walking side by side on the campaign trail. Do the DSA candidates and their success give Republicans a little bit more hope in these midterms, in your opinion, or not?
I think so. And that race that you talked about, Mark, Michigan is the key. Gavin Newsom had Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, on his podcast. And, I was thinking, when you refresh your browser, it goes back to June 18th.
Right.
I was thinking, it seemed like last year, not 10 years ago, last year, this was the Democrats' dream ticket. Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer. Today, they seem like the parties passed them by. The Democrats are moving so far to the left, so fast that it's dizzying. But if El Sayed loses, then people think, well, maybe we should have listened to Gretchen Whitmer because she did not endorse him in the primary. So I think the answer we won't know till Election Day, Mark. But I think you're right. But
that's a great analogy.
Yeah, okay.
I love your analogy because it does seem that way. And I've really never thought of it in those terms, that you got a guy like Gavin Newsom who, might be or might have been the standard bearer. And now it's looking very, very different. Like he's maybe a couple of tiers down on the presidential list. So it's fascinating from that perspective. And, I've warned people, you don't want to take anything for granted. Even though El Sayed is way out there on the fringes, he's certainly tapping into something. And Haley Stevens made it close in that race, but he picked up a lot of votes. So I don't know if Mike Rogers and their campaign can capitalize on all the kookiness. You would hope that they would be able to. But with President Trump not on the ballot, that offers probably hope for El Sayed.
Well, Trump, here's the problem for the Republicans, and you put your finger on it, Mark. Trump isn't on the ballot. So some of his voters will not come out. But in the Democrats' mind, he's on the ballot. So all the Trump haters will come out. So this is the problem that the Republicans have writ large, not just in Michigan. Trump knows it, too, and he's doing what he can. But his people keep saying, you got to talk about the economy. But, it's going to take more than that. I think what Trump wants to do is remind voters what's at stake here. Do they want people who identify, and this is their language. The DSA praised Fidel Castro this week,
it's
right?
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Do they really want hardcore communists running the country? And I think that's probably a more winning strategy for the president. And I think he knows that. So this thing's going to get, Trump's not folding his hand yet. He's not giving up. And I think Iran that we talked about a few minutes ago is key here, but also as key is, are the Democrats going to be a normal party? Are they going off the cliff?
I think, up until last Tuesday, I think they were going off the cliff head first. But I really think it was a bit of a miss on the part of Republicans that Francesca Hong lost in Wisconsin. By the way, Carl, I think if she didn't have the eyeballs of, this country on her for that last week and all that media attention, I think she might have won. I think people in Wisconsin kind of finally got onto her, and Tony Evers, who is the governor of Wisconsin, got out there and warned people because David Crowley, who ended up winning the Milwaukee County, executive, had pulled out of the race. But they finally got to see what Francesca Hong was about statewide in Wisconsin, and that's what cost her the election, because I think she was about to win.
Well, she was leading in the polls in the primary. I mean, some of these polls had her up double digits, and she was not going to win a general election in that state.
No.
And people like David Axelrod were very clear. This is a train wreck. But she was also one of the worst candidates I've ever seen. Not only, she, what do we call in boxing? You call that leading with your chin. She she didn't.
No, she was like a caricature
She
of
hates
some of these.
Thanksgiving. She hates July 4th. She hates.
I know you can't make it up. It's unreal, really, what some of these people stand for, and then they try to back out of it. Even El Sayed, he goes up and they catch him on tape talking about Mackinac Island. I hate it here. Football, toxic masculinity. I don't like that. That's not going to play too well in Michigan. I think Mike Rogers probably is going to have a pretty easy time defeating him. But again, politics is so weird these days that you just can't take anything for granted. But Carl, I will continue to go back on your website to June 18th, a day which will live in infamy for the Mark Reardon Show. And I appreciate you coming on this afternoon.
Mark, anytime.
All right, take care.
If you're rooting against El Sayed, you root for the Detroit Lions this year. I think that'll help focus Michigan voters.
I'm a Packers fan, though, so that's a little difficult. You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute this afternoon, at least on the Missouri side. Now, westbound 64 is slowing Kings Highway out through McCausland. It's a little bit slow at 270 as well. Eastbound slowing at 270. Southbound 170, some volume right at 64. And southbound 270 is slow pockets now from Olive down through Doherty Ferry before it opens up. And out west, we're fine on 70, but we've got road work in the left lane, westbound 64, and that's near Prospect, causing a jam. Now, the other huge jam is on the Illinois side, and it's westbound 64. It is closed between 255 and 18th Street through Monday the 24th, and there is a jam approaching 157, and then eastbound slows approaching 159, also due to road work. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Mark Cox here. Join me for breakfast Friday, September 11th from 5 to 9 a.m. at Chicken Ellie's in Eureka. We're raising funds for Focus Marines Foundation. Proceeds go straight to supporting our veterans. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
I want to guide you into an exceptional customer service experience with Michael's Flooring Outlet. If you have a flooring project and you're looking to do it either on a budget or go crazy with some fancy flooring from Mohawk maybe, because they make beautiful carpeting that's silky soft, they can hook you up at Michael's. They have 3 awesome locations. Old Town St. Peter's, in Darden Prairie, and in Creve Coeur, West County on Olive. But the website really has a lot of things. I love it. It's igotfloor.com. You can see the promos, the products, the services. If you click on the Inspiration tab, you can see the galleries. And the galleries kind of are full of all the different options that you have. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, tile, luxury vinyl. The list goes on depending on your lifestyle, whether you have kids, whether you have young kids, whether you have animals, whether you're like me and you have a bunny running around. That is going to depend on your lifestyle and your situation. And they'll get into your home and take a look at your project. And I've talked about doing this on a budget many times because sometimes you don't know exactly what you're looking for. But I even told Mike, look, I'll pull the carpet out of my daughter's room on my own, which I did, manual labor, which is kind of hard to believe. That saved me a little money there. And then they had the team come in, install the carpet, or actually pull the carpet out because I did that, install the hard flooring. It looks beautiful, and we're so happy we did that a couple years ago. You could do it too. igotfloor.com, Michael's Flooring Outlet, 3 locations open every day except Sunday.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I'm so excited about the BMW Championship. I am taking a couple of days off later in the week because I'm going to be at Belle Reve watching 50 of the best players on the planet. And Frank Cusumano, have you been hanging at Belle Reve today, flagrantly violating the media policy rules? Is that what I hear?
I'm not sure if you read the policy rules real correctly because I was welcome. Of course, I mentioned Jeff Drew's name. But yeah, it was really cool. We were on the range for quite a bit. Spent some time with Tommy Fleetwood and Ricky Fowler and J.J. Spawn. And it's really cool, Mark, because I encourage everybody, by the way, to go to the range first. What these guys do is they'll hit 2 balls, and then their coach will give them a thought, and then they'll look at the video that was shot by their caddy, and then they'll hit 2 more balls. I mean, they're literally out there by the hour. And then after they're done feeling comfortable about their swings, then they'll go out and play a practice round. I just watched Spawn play, and he was on the first tee, hit like 6 or 7 balls, and they're just getting a feel for it. So like on Sunday, when you see them about to hit the game-winning or the championship-winning putt, they have putted that thing like 25 times before.
Wow. Yeah, it's so cool. Now, for people like me and you, and I'm just going to admit I'm very spoiled, and you mentioned our friend Jeff Drew. I've been at that course, and I've played it quite a bit. It's just so much fun to watch on a course that you are so familiar with, and you know the holes and you know the challenges. So that's going to be really cool. So tomorrow is the practice rounds, and that's sort of relaxed. That's where the families might be out there, and I think even the players can wear shorts. You have the Pro-Am on Wednesday. Do we know who's going to be in the Pro-Am yet?
I am not sure of that, but I will say,
Ozzy for sure.
Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, the Clydesdales are going to come in and they're going to hand the BMW Championship trophy off to Ozzie Smith to kind of officially kick the week off. But almost everybody is here. Scotty's not here and Rory McIlroy's not here. I did speak with one of the people from Rory's hometown, and I asked him, what's it like for Rory right now? I mean, he was arguably the worst player in Memphis last week. They finished 66, a lot of last in, the hitting green categories and putts and all. It's just terrible. And he says, well, literally, he didn't pick up a club for like 3 weeks. So he says, I think he got a wake-up call, and I think he's probably working at his club very hard right now and will be back strong on Thursday.
It would not surprise me if he is at the very top of this leaderboard as we head into the weekend. All right, let's talk baseball. What a Saturday afternoon for Joshua Baez. The Cardinals win the series against the Cubs. They're off to a good start in Cincinnati because they won a game earlier today, Frank.
Yeah, and that bullpen is the story today, where they went 5 scoreless innings and allowed just 1 hit in a park that allows a lot of hits. And you got another solid pitching performance from Quinn Matthews, who went 4, struck out 7. Burleson now leads the National League in RBIs with 92. The guy's insane. So, and they got Palante going tonight, so there's a great chance for a sweep.
All right, Frank, we gotta go back to Saturday here for a second.
Yes.
I mean, what a freaking day! I mean, this baseball season, even though the Cardinals are only a couple games above 500, has been filled with very many memorable moments. But I think that one probably takes the gold up to this point, just because it's something that's never been done before. Joshua Baez and his 3 home runs in his major league debut.
Yeah, and I think in the history of the Cardinals, there's obviously been more important home runs hit, 2 holes off a ledge. Ozzie and Jack Clark in 85, and of course David Freese in 2011, Kenny Boyer in 64. But those were isolated moments. This was a 2-hour and 39-minute drama that if you were not watching his 4th at-bat, there was something wrong with you. And you could make a case for each of the at-bats being the most important. Like everyone thought the first one's the most important. No, I don't know. The 3rd one was awfully important too. And the anticipation for the 4th one may have been the biggest.
Did I hear that they gave him a standing ovation at Wrigley?
They did, yes.
That's incredible.
How about this too? is that he had to borrow Blaze Jordan spikes.
I heard that.
And those spikes are now in Cooperstown.
Yeah,
Congrats,
they sent
Blaze
the cleats. That's pretty cool. No, I mean, that was so exciting. He didn't have as great a day on Sunday, but did he get a hit today?
He's hitting the ball hard.
No.
Yeah. No, not today.
Not today. And I don't think he'll start tonight against the right-hander. They'll probably give him a break. But he'll be fine. He's got 3 home runs in 3 games. That's still pretty good.
Any football news you want to share? Anything? You know, I saw a picture of Cam Newton at in Columbia today at training camp for Mizzou. He's got someone there that is maybe a relative or something like that. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, he is very tight with the wide receiver, Caden Lee, who came from Ole Miss, and he's been like a mentor to him. So Cam Newton was on the practice field for the Tigers today.
That's cool.
I think the one bit of news is Ahmad Hardy still has not practiced. And Coach Drink addressed it, and we still don't know a thing about it. You know, I think we all got our hopes up after SEC Media Days when he said he's been medically cleared to play. But so far, you know, he's just been on the sidelines a few times, and he hasn't been in practice all the time either. So a little worried about that situation.
Yeah.
Frank, St. Louis City just continues to play really good quality soccer now. Unbeaten in their last 10 games. They've climbed all the way to the 6th seed in the Western Conference, and I think they're only I think they're just the tiebreaker out of the 5th spot. I mean, they just keep on climbing. What's working for them, and you know, there's still a handful of games to be played. You know, I don't think it's too unrealistic to be talking about them potentially having a home berth for the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think they can pound on a bad Kansas City team on Wednesday, so that would be big too. The story with City right now, though, is that everybody was a little upset last week when they lost their best player, Marcel Hartle. People were thinking, wait a minute, why would they let him go? Why don't they just pay him? But he's basically a guy from Germany who wanted to go home. But I think what we discovered is that happens, and they go to San Jose and they score 3 goals. So maybe it's not about the players, it's about the system, and we should really give this Johan Demey a lot of credit for this offensive, aggressive system. As I said before, the last coach didn't really believe in scoring. This guy does.
That's crazy. All right, Frank Cusumano, well, I'll see you out at the course this week. I'm taking Thursday and Friday off. By the way, on the topic of golf, is there some pretty good news from the weekend about Brooke Cusumano as well?
Brooke won the club championship at Norwood, and she had a really relaxing, you know, no drama round. She just hitting fairways, hitting greens. It was really cool to see.
She's incredible. And
That's
she
awesome.
had a baby how many months ago? Not even a year ago, right?
Exactly 1 year ago. Yeah.
Okay, unreal. And she's a great pickleball player. A lot better than her father. Frank, we'll see you at the course. See ya. Take care.
Not true.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the Illinois side, 64 westbound is closed. 255 through 18th Street. This is for bridge work, and it will remain closed through the 24th at 5 a.m. And eastbound traffic is lined up, headed for 159. Westbound 70 looks great out of downtown. 64, there's some volume approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Eastbound slowing at Timberlake Manor. And then westbound, the left lane is down, really close to Prospect. So it's caused a delay in that area. And southbound 270, moderate volume 64 down through Doherty Ferry. Also a little bit slow right at Gravois. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Why pay full insurance when you can customize and save? Switch to Liberty Mutual and they'll customize your auto and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
If you go to MorelliTuckPointing.com, Morelli is a great family-owned and operated business here in St. Louis. Been around for 3 decades plus. John and Cindy, I've known them for a long time. If you go to the reviews section on their website, you'll see a lot of consistency because they take very big pride in the fact that they get rave reviews and they exceed expectations. Here's Chuck, who says Morelli Tuck Pointing is super to work with. They're truly a first-class operation. Their work is excellent on time. They left the work site extremely clean. I'll recommend them to anyone seeking their work. You will not be disappointed. I can't really sum it up any better than Chuck did right there. they have a lot of rave reviews like that because they're consistent and they really care about what their customers think. If you have a project, anything related to masonry services, and you need help, Morelli's there for you. Tuck pointing, spot pointing with color match, chimney repair, stone foundation repair, the list goes on. MorelliTuckpointing.com, or you can call 314-645-1387. Do me a huge favor. They've been a sponsor for a long time. Tell me you heard about it here on 97.1 FM Talk. MorelliTuckpointing.com.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Government shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall selling picture postcards in Kansas City to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the free market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Mark Cox here. Celebrate the month of August with Zero Res. They're offering you 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $119. That's $106 in savings. You can book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
The conversations are positive. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. But Special Envoy Jared Kushner says so far there's no breakthrough in negotiations between the U.S. and Iran.
Right now, they're not showing any interest in doing something that makes sense for us.
The deadline for the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran expires today. Talks remain hung up over the Strait of Hormuz, which has been largely closed as Iran continues to attack ships that attempt to go through the critical waterway. Kushner also met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as they negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, Israel calling for the group to disarm before reconstruction of Gaza can begin. A scheduling change delays the beginning of the Luigi Mangione state trial for the murder of a healthcare CEO.
Mangione's state case in New York will not get underway September 8th as previously scheduled. State Justice Gregory Caro is being urged by Mangione's defense team to dismiss murder and weapons counts. It comes after last week's federal proceeding where Mangione pleaded guilty to stalking charges. The defense argues the state trial would amount to being tried twice for the same crime, or double jeopardy, which is prohibited. The Manhattan DA and Mangione's defense will submit motions in October. Mangione's next court appearance, December 10th.
Fox's Gernal Scott in New York. Customs and Border Protection has paused construction of a controversial border project in Big Bend National Park after bipartisan opposition by critics who say it's destroying a pristine environmental area and that the terrain already serves as a deterrent to migrants and smugglers. CBP head Rodney Scott says construction will be halted until he visits and conducts an evaluation. Wall Street, the Dow lost 272. America's listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Oh, it's a pretty evening around town. Partly cloudy skies and nice as we fall out of the 80s. 68 for the low. Tuesday, sunny skies. Nice morning. A touch warmer in the afternoon. 89, maybe 90 downtown. Still pretty easy to take. Here comes another front late Tuesday night with scattered showers and non-severe thunderstorms, mainly after midnight. 73. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, we were talking about the BMW Championship and everything happening at Belle Reve Country Club with Frank and Dan Reardon, our golf expert, no relation, as I like to say, is going to join us at 5:30 with a preview. Frank wasn't kidding, by the way. Rory was just awful over the weekend. But, you know, he's the caliber of player that, you know, can turn it around relatively quickly. So I'll be very curious. I was just looking at the media schedule, and I'm going to be out there covering the next 2 days, and then I'm off on Thursday and Friday. But Rory's going to be there for a press conference on Wednesday morning before the Pro-Am. So be interested to see what he has to say. So this was really unbelievable at the Indiana Fever game with Atlanta last night, the Atlanta Dreams. And really good game. It went into overtime, but there were two locals, Kelsey Thomas and her daughter Annie, that bought tickets that were just a couple of rows from courtside. They were each wearing XXXY athletic T-shirts on. I love XXXY. Jen is a good friend. I love the gear, but they've been getting a lot of attention. So listen what happened.
We were made to cover up our XXXY shirts at this game.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes. They gave us shirts. They gave us T-shirts during overtime and told us we had to leave. And this is for the girls. Or cover our shirts up. This just happened.
That's ridiculous. Now, the WNBA actually just issued a statement that I saw, and they said that should not have happened. But it did happen. And what happened was there was somebody that had a trans rights shirt on that was right by courtside and was very visible on the TV coverage. Apparently somebody told that person to zip up their sweatshirt, and then that person complained about these two. But you should never be told. There's nothing offensive about that. There's no vulgarity. It's just a brand of clothing. And it happens to make a bit of a statement, but a lot of brands make a statement. So it's amazing what's happening. Good for Jen Say. She's getting a ton of attention. Amy Sousa is with us. She's a woman's right advocate based in the state of Washington, where things are kind of nutty out there in Washington State. Amy, how are you? Welcome to 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis.
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much, Mark, for having me.
I cannot believe, every week something like this seems to happen. Where you had a co-owner of the Seattle Storm that actually made a little 16-year-old girl cry a couple of weeks ago. What the hell is happening out there?
It's really astounding to me how saying something as simple as I think girls deserve privacy in their locker rooms and fair sports has been such a remarkable thing to say. This should not be a remarkable statement. This is a very common sense, logical statement. And we have gathered to support Sophie Cunningham at numerous rallies and have just been ultimately cheerleaders. We've come with balloons, we've come with posters, we've come with bubbles. And the response to us has been just, horrible in many cases. And
let me ask you, though, because why do you think that is? Is it the lens from which those people are seeing things? Are they just beholden to what I call the alphabet mafia? And that's why they have to, because to actually, cheer against Sophie Cunningham for her simple position that's common sense that 90+% of the country agrees with just seems ridiculous. So that leads me to believe that the fans that are cheering against her, the people that are going against you and other people who are protesting are not informed very well, first and foremost. And they're just, it's ironic, isn't it, Amy? Because they think that a lot of us are full of hate, trans hate and all this. I think it's exactly the opposite in many of these circumstances.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think what we're doing by making a public statement about this, I think we're exposing the fact that self-ID is not compatible with protecting women and girls on the basis of sex. These two things, these two positions are simply cannot coincide. You ultimately have to pick one. If you really want to protect women and girls on the basis of our sex, then you have to admit that men cannot self-ID into our category. And by us being visible and public and upfront about our position of being pro women and girls, we're not anti anyone. We're simply pro women and girls on the basis of sex. But this position is unfortunately automatically to them going to be anti their position because they are in a way sex denialists. They're denying the category of sex and how important it is to safeguarding and privacy. And fairness.
And what do you think about the WNBA's response to this? Because, they basically, I think they're kind of doubling down a little bit in some of their statements. But what's interesting is there's two things I think in this conversation that are completely missing, even from today in the conversation with what happened in Atlanta. It almost seems like it didn't happen, but it did happen, okay? You had an allegation by a coach or a co-owner in this particular case in Seattle. And then you have Stephanie White, who's the coach of the Fever, that, gets all upset. She thumps her fist down on the table last week. She doesn't like her treatment from what's happening on social media, but she refuses to offer any perspective with her former player who went on social media, and when she was kicked out of a game because of a hard foul on Sophie Cunningham, she said white supremacy. That particular, social media post is completely missing from the conversation. No one's bringing that up. It's almost like it never even happened. And I think people should be talking about that too.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think it's what I love to see is that our public conversation has pushed the WNBA to review its policy. However, I think the way that they're going about reviewing their policy is really disingenuous. They're saying that they're going to review their quote unquote transgender policy. Well, the fact of the matter is there have already been quote unquote openly trans players. Laishia Clarington was the first openly trans player. She got a double mastectomy while she was playing because of her claimed non-binary identity. So she has considered herself the first openly trans player. She was on the cover of ESPN and Sports Illustrated because of this. And my point here is that this is why I continue to say this is not about identity. There will always be women who claim opposite sex identities or non-binary identities who will play with the women. So this is not an identity-based issue or a segregation on the basis of identity. It is simply about sex. And we have already seen in the NBA players like Dennis Rodman, who have famously been gender bending and gender nonconforming. The men's team is a perfectly great space for nonconforming men. And we are simply asking for the category of sex to be protected because it does involve fairness and safeguarding issues.
Yeah, and that's why it doesn't really, like Sophie Cunningham even says, look, I think what I said, it's just kind of common sense. And that's what a lot of us think. But it's not being treated that way. So when they say WNBA comes out with a statement that says hate, abuse, and demonization of any group of people, including transgender people, only fuel fear, division, and harm. We will continue to have hard conversations, but we will not be used as political pawns. Support the players, support the fans. Well, how about support the players like Sophie Cunningham? I think they want to say support the players except for her, right? Don't support her. MAGA Barbie, we don't want to support her. We want to support everyone else.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is they are a political organization. If you look on their website, they sell T-shirts that are branded WNBA sold T-shirts that include these rainbow colors, that include, the trans rainbow colors. They have a couple of different shirts that fall under their Pride line that include this. So they have already taken a political position, and that political position alienates women and girls on the basis of our sex.
Isn't Sophie kind of amazing? I've followed her for a long time, Amy, because of my, I've got some roots in Columbia, Missouri. Lived there for a long time, went to the University of Missouri where she played. She also played high school at Rockbridge High School. And, she's just been a hero in this. But you just have to wonder, like, after that happened with the Seattle Storm, she tweets, "I truly believe there is a safe space and love for everybody," all caps, biological girls, biological boys, trans women, trans men. Everyone is welcome at my table. You can disagree and still be kind. Bravo to those young girls standing up for what they believe. You'll be hearing from me more. Everything that she does, there's no hate, right? There's no vitriol. She's kind. She's loving. She says she's open and welcoming. But she's still the target of all these people. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's really sad to see, and I'm just so glad that she has such a sassy, fun, resilient personality. I feel like you can tell if you watch her, her TikTok or her Instagram. She just has a very fun personality and a great sense of humor, and an incredible integrity. And we have seen that because I think we have often in the media seen celebrities of one form or the other who have stuck their head above the parapet to stand on the side of women and girls who, when pushed, have pulled back their position. And I think the remarkable thing was not only that Sophie Cunningham said this in the first place, the really remarkable thing to me is that when she was pushed, she doubled down with, I said what I said.
What's also interesting is, I follow a fair amount of celebrities, I think a lot of us do, on Twitter. And there's some folks that I was not expecting to kind of get involved in this debate. I'll use John Cleese as an example. He tweets a lot, and he's really, really liberal. I mean, very liberal. But on this issue, and on the issue with J.K. Rowling, he totally is on the side of common sense. I see a lot of, and that's what I think that the trans rights people, they don't really get that, because they seem to come off as people who are very full of hate, and they don't seem to be the understanding people in any of this. And I think that that's part of the issue here is the messaging that Sophie's kind of stood up for. It's taking hold. And it's finally taking hold. And I think that's a good thing. And it's going to be good for women's sports. And by the way, the WNBA should be just relishing this. They've never had more attention than this in their entire history.
Exactly, they should. And, what is so frustrating to me is the unwillingness to have a honest conversation about the safeguarding issue. They will automatically call bigot. They will automatically call transphobe. I have been called so many names I have been an activist on this issue for the past 10 years. So I have been speaking out about this since 2016.
Good for you. I love it. Yeah.
So I have been called every name in the book that you can imagine. And in all of the ways that I have attempted to have honest conversations about this with the opposition, no one will ever face that this is a safeguarding issue for women and girls.
Yeah, so I asked Riley Gaines that question one time because that's the key question. Why can you not at least admit, like Martina Navratilova, like Caitlyn Jenner, like a lot of athletes have, admit that this is a fairness issue? And Riley's answer was, well, then the whole house of cards just falls, because then you can't say, a woman is a woman, right? So, and that's why they never break from that. And I think it's backfiring right now. Amy Sousa, thanks for all your, heroic efforts in the last decade as well. This is an important moment, an important movement. Thanks for coming on 97.1 FM Talk. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. I wanted to play a little bit more audio here because on this issue, this is another one of those things that's kind of, I think backfiring on the Democrats. Although, having said that, most Democrats are on the same side as we are on this issue. They know it's common sense. Here's Charlemagne the God.
I cannot believe that people are falling for tricks like this right before the midterm elections.
That's what
Like, this is so dumb for Democrats to even be going back down this road, having this conversation. And I hate when they conflate two things, because guess what? I don't know why Sophia Cunningham was asked this question, but if she's asked, should biological men play in the WNBA, the answer should be no. There is no, whoa, so are you saying transgenders don't have a right to say, man, shut the up.
Yeah, exactly. So Charlemagne gets it. It's common sense. He understands that. The WNBA and their ownership and their leadership, they don't get that. Here's Sage Steele, who's been also heroic in her efforts after leaving ESPN and being one of the lonely voices there.
This is about young girls. Just follow what tennis has done, WTA. Just follow what the IOC has done. It is not that hard. If leadership was good, maybe the players wouldn't feel the need to continue this charade.
And by the way, I mentioned how the WNBA is getting all this attention. Are the ratings increasing?
Yes, the ratings are going up, and I love that for women's sports. At the same time, for the wrong reason. What happens when Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, if the Fever don't go deep into the playoffs, the ratings are going to tank like they did last year.
Here's Caitlyn Jenner. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Sue. I still, we grew up, like, I was my daughter's age, right, when Bruce Jenner was winning his gold medals. Yep. I was 11 years old. So but it is what it is, right, Caitlyn? But what's interesting
He's
is
an adult. Yeah.
he is still on the side of fairness in sports, which I think is very important here and should be a voice that's recognized.
XX, you're in. XY, you're out. It's that simple. I want to protect women's sports.
Right.
Title IX was one of the greatest legislations, and it was over 50 years ago, for women's equality. It happened to be in sports. But look at what it's done for women's sports. I don't want that to be ruined.
So that's, one side of the equation. The other side of the equation right now is Caitlin Clark continues to be just completely treated differently than any of the other players. So there was a foul that was called on her. Sue, if you look at the video of this, and you'll hear the announcers describe it, it basically, at most, looks like Caitlin Clark's fingernails may have brushed up against the jersey of her opponent. And they called her for a hard foul. And you'll hear the announcers here. The announcers are like, oh, this is challenged because the Fever challenged it. This will be overturned. No, it wasn't overturned.
The balance with which Howard takes the shot. She's just kind of on a fade a little bit. Watch this. No. It's almost like fingertips on a keyboard. I will be stunned if they do not overturn that call.
Clark immediately was asking for a challenge.
After review, the contact by Caitlin Clark is deemed illegal. Therefore, it is an unsuccessful challenge. Indiana is charged a timeout.
Yeah, so they were wrong about that. And, I noticed there was a tweet by Terry McCauley today. And he's a guy, Sue, I think if you watch football, you know who he is because he used to be, a referee. And now he's one of those guys that is, in the studio or he's just.
Oh, good.
He's available. No, he's available when they need him in New York to clarify something that happens during a football game.
That's smart.
So he's like the rules official. He doesn't have to be on the field making all those decisions anymore. But one of the things that he said is you notice that referee said Caitlin Clark, did not say her number, right?
Oh, that's true.
So Terry McCauley said using a player's name during a foul or review announcement is incredibly unprofessional. I've never heard it done before in any sport I've watched or been involved with. It personalizes the ruling, which should always be avoided. That's an interesting point,
that
right?
That is an
interesting point. It should not have been
point.
her name. It should have been her number.
Traffic
if you're
from the
suffering
97.1.
Well, it looks like I pressed something twice there, so that's going to probably be on my fault. Ethan will fix it. Sue, go ahead.
Westbound 6440 is slow tonight. It's the usual, though. It's Kings Highway out through McCausland with eastbound some moderate volume at Big Bend. Then it picks up again. The left lane down for road work out at Prospect. That's caused a delay. 70 westbound looks pretty good. Watch for some moderate volume on southbound 270, especially from 64 down through Doherty Ferry and a little bit at Gravois. 55 is in good shape, but the Illinois side, we've got eastbound 64 slowing at 159, and westbound is just a parking lot because it is closed between 255 and 18th Street and will be for bridge work through August the 24th, which is Monday at 5 a.m. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do everything from windows to kitchens, and they deliver quality craftsmanship with lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sue, that was the old, we call that the double puncher.
Yeah, we do.
Mark's fingers got a little too fat there, so I apologize for that. Let me talk about Susan L. Ward, who is a fantastic person outside of being an awesome lawyer, too. If you talk to Susan, if you meet her, if you've heard her on the show, her personality really shines through. Now, what really should shine through is her experience, because she's been at this for 2.5+ decades doing family law here in the St. Louis area. It's a tough area of the law. She's rated AV preeminent by Martindale-Hubbell. That's important because that's the highest peer rating that an attorney can receive, showing that they've reached the height of professional excellence. Susan also had the distinction of being the young attorney to be awarded that AV rating. As someone who went through divorce, it's important to get someone who knows exactly the lay of the land in family law, has a ton of experience, knows what the judges are prone to, and that's exactly what Susan and her firm bring to you. They have a beautiful office that opened last May. They moved last May into a building that's right near 270 in Manchester, so very conveniently located. If you need her help, either in divorce or post-divorce issues, contact them right away. 314-783-9400, the website, stlfamilylaw.com. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you, Susan L. Ward.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
If you own a business, you've heard it all. From fast funding to easy approvals, everyone says the same thing. LendSeek is different. We show you what you actually qualify for. LendSeek's AI-enabled platform matches you with funding options with no guesswork. Up to $5 million in as fast as 24 hours. If you've been in business over a year, doing at least $50,000 per month, apply for free with zero out-of-pocket costs and access to over 100 lenders. Start ready, stay ready. LendSeek.com. LendSeek.com.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Let's do a little. Let me do a little media roundup here of some things, because there's some stuff happening with media personalities, including Terry Moran, who used to be at ABC, telling an interesting COVID story. I'll have that in a moment. But the President Trump had a Q&A session at the White House today. You know, he does that a lot. You know what he was doing, Sue, is he had the guy, and I can't remember this kid's name, that rescued the child from the water in California. It was in California a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, the lifeguard,
yeah.
You mean?
So he was honored at the White House today.
Oh, that's cool.
And they brought him in, you know, and treated him as a hero that he was. But so then there was Q&A, and some of it was about, you know, him. Some of it was off topic, and this is what happened. There's reaction to this, so I have to, you know, play the soundbite. The president was taking a question from someone named Kristen Holmes at CNN.
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man, okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're fake news. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter, and you report fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but he's not a fan of CNN. So CNN is countering this afternoon. They issued a statement. It's hard for me to take up for CNN because, look, on the one hand, I'm not really a fan of the president treating the media that way. On the other hand, the media sometimes brings it on themselves, and certainly people from CNN. It's hard for me to criticize because these are the same people that sat in the room with KJP and acted like nothing was going on with the guy that was barely awake in the Oval Office. So I think the credibility becomes an issue. But CNN puts out a statement saying Kristen Holmes is one of the most respected and accomplished journalists covering the White House. This afternoon, she did her job and asked the President of the United States a tough, relevant, and newsworthy question on behalf of the American people. Public officials are free to challenge reporting they disagree with, but personal attacks on journalists for asking questions are beneath the office and inconsistent with the principles of a free press. We stand firmly behind Kristen and reject these attacks in the strongest possible terms. So I don't know that that's going to change anything of the president's behavior. But he gets very frustrated with CNN, and I think that was on display today. And then there's Terry Moran. I got to tell this story. Terry Moran went on, Twitter, like after midnight when there might have been some alcohol involved, and there was a post from Stephen Miller, and he called Stephen Miller and President Trump world-class haters. And I don't know if you remember this from a few years ago. We think that he may have had a few that night. He deleted it, but he was let go from ABC, right? So what's interesting here is he's no fan of the president, right? So you don't like the president. He doesn't probably like Republicans either. But Terry Moran is now talking about something that happened during COVID that happened to him because he wanted to do a lab leak story. And he says that ABC censored it. So he's on a podcast telling this story. This is interesting.
So it was like early in 2021, maybe January, February. I'm seeing online and elsewhere people that I thought were smart and serious. They're saying maybe this leaked from the lab. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So I went to Nightline. I said, hey, I'd like to do a story on, and they were like, great, yeah, let's do it. So we just across the board, we talked to, molecular virologists. We talked to people in the Trump administration who had been in the Trump administration. We broke a little news that that lab had been funded by the Chinese military, despite the bad lady saying no, it hadn't. And that came from the security. A tip from inside the one of the three-letter agencies in the government, and we kind of laid it out. And at the end of the day, my own personal feeling was, talking to everybody, I thought it's probably a little bit more likely it's natural. But if you told me it had leaked from the lab, fine. And it's probably not cooked up. It's probably not a Frankenvirus. But I didn't reach that conclusion. I just laid it out, and we're ready to go. And the day that it's supposed to air, it gets reviewed, and it comes back to me, and it is incomprehensible. I've never been angrier. I'm in the booth.
These
lawyers' standards, and New York. So they were, and the editor, I've never watched that story, and never want to, because it wasn't mine. I didn't think, and because, most importantly, because it was incomprehensible. They had put so many caveats in there, and so many and it was so legalized. And
wait, so they took the story that you did, and either sent a copy of a transcript or a copy of video to Anthony Fauci.
It would have been the script. That's what I was told. I don't know that that's true personally, but I was told that.
Tell me that that's not inappropriate. Think about that. We're in the middle of COVID where lies are being told. And Terry Moran has a story that you can even tell. He doesn't even really think it's a lab leak, right? But he knows there's enough questions out there to do a story. So he does a story. And even that is spiked by ABC. Now, he's on this podcast. That was a guy by the name of Michael Moynihan. And the podcast is called The Fifth Column. But one of the things that he asked him, straight on, is ABC News a liberal institution? Which, duh. Well, he said yes. Terry Moran says yes, but I think it's a lot of mainstream media. It's because of lack of viewpoint diversity. That was one of the problems covering Trump. Nobody had voted for him. This is exactly part of the problem. I try to highlight this. Now, this is one of the things that I talked about with David Kurpius, who's the dean of the journalism school at my alma mater, the University of Missouri, because I've told you this story. I got this audio the day after the election from a documentary film professor at Mizzou, and he, in the first 30 seconds, says capitalism is stupid, and he's ripping on Trump. And I get this audio that I was about to play, and I emailed Dave Kurpius, who I don't know at the time, and I say, hey, you may want to be dialed into this. Well, the thing blew up because the dad of the kid got nervous about the audio leaking, but that led to a meeting that I had with Dave Kurpius, and he invited me to Columbia about a year and a half ago for a basketball game, and we had a discussion in his office, and that discussion was about viewpoint diversity. Okay.
Okay.
And I encouraged him, and he told me that he believes in viewpoint diversity, because that's what's missing in these newsrooms. You know, you can put a D or an R on there, but everybody, and this is really, I think, one of the things that's happening with this story about Sophie Cunningham is you have these young, inexperienced reporters, editors, people that don't have the depth and the knowledge of journalism that we used to have, that are on there for their own mission, and they don't believe. They believe in agenda journalism. They don't believe in finding what the story is. Like, even Terry Moran kind of sounded like he was curious about what he would find. He didn't determine what the narrative was of the story before he went in. Maybe he did a little bit because he admitted that he didn't think it was a lab leak, but he knew there was something there, right? That's how you should be as a reporter. I'm no big fan of his, but you should be skeptical. And that's not what was happening. The exact opposite was happening during COVID. And there's a lesson to be learned from Terry Moran, even though he's an idiot.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for a stall westbound 44 at Bowles. They've got the right lane blocked. It looks like the right shoulder as well, but there's not enough volume to actually cause a slowdown. Now, we have some volume on 64 westbound. It's mainly moderate. Approaching Hampton out past McCausland. Eastbound slows at 270 and at 170. And then westbound, we've got the left lane down for road work near Prospect. A slow go there. 70 westbound is fine out of downtown. We look good on 270. A jam on the Illinois side. Westbound 64. It is closed from 255 to 18th Street and will be through Monday at 5 a.m. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
I want to talk about Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. I think we've had some blips around here because of the power grid in the past couple of weeks when the temperatures were really, really hot. I guess they're kind of hot today as well. Generator Supercenter would love you, and I would love you to get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. And they're right here in St. Louis, in Chesterfield, off the airport road. You don't have to worry about your home, even if you're out of town. It kicks right in when the power goes out via natural gas or propane. And you can stop by the showroom in Chesterfield or give them a call. They have financing available. It's a smart thing to do. You don't want to be the person that says, hey, I wish you would have listened to the guy on the radio talking about getting a high-quality generator. They're not portable. They're and it's important to go with Generator Supercenter because, look, what happens is you have HVAC competitors, nothing wrong with them, but they cannot offer the certified maintenance and warranty work that they can at Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. So get your free estimate today. Again, financing, payment plans are available. 314-499-2020. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
It is the season for enjoying that backyard, and there's no better way to do it than with my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mark Cox here. For the month of August, they will give you 20% off the bottom line when you mention my name as you reach out to Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Listen, they've been at this since 1968. Owned and operated by the same family all of those years, and it makes a difference. And if you look at the beautiful creations they have in their showroom in the Chesterfield Valley, you'll see what I'm talking about. The sunrooms, the screen rooms, the pergolas, the all-season rooms they can put together for you are just fantastic. Now, they do fences and decks as well, of course.
Claim is settled out of court without a jury trial. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
5:35. This portion of the show is sponsored by our friends at Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Hey, where you going? The party just started. We're celebrating America 250 all year long on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Dan Reardon, it's like Christmas for me. It's like Christmas morning having the BMW Championship here with all these players at Belle Reve Country Club. It's going to be a fun week, isn't it?
Absolutely. Mark, I worked for the LPGA for 10 years, and I knew what that event looked like behind the scenes. And scheduling an event was like playing a slot machine. You had three windows that could come up. One was weather, one was field, and one was course conditions.
Right.
We got 3 bars this week.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because let's face it, late last week, you and I and a lot of us were talking about 90s and upper 90s. I guess the forecast could change, but we got a little lucky based on where the temperatures are projected right now, right?
Absolutely. And you know where that's going to play the most? The players. The players will be enjoying this event so much more because Rory mentioned it last week in Memphis. He thought he was going to come into an oven here in St. Louis and into the oven in Atlanta, and now they get a respite. And these guys will be in good spirits, and they looked really beaten up by the weather and the heat yesterday afternoon.
I just got a bit of the media schedule for Wednesday morning, and Rory will be speaking with folks like you and the rest of the media. I guess I'm included because I have a credential on Wednesday morning. But what are you thinking about him right now? Because he took a couple of weeks off. He was obviously very rusty, but he's also the kind of guy that can just probably turn it on like nobody else on the planet except for maybe Scotty.
You know, I read an article today. We're very critical of him. The fact of the matter is Rory didn't need to be here. He didn't need to be in Memphis because he's automatically qualified in Atlanta. And the question I want to ask Rory is cutting back on his schedule quite a bit. He's not going to meet the minimum requirements for the PGA Tour this year. I'm wondering if Rory is sort of scaling back his involvement in the game of golf. He's done this for a long, long time and been picked at constantly because he's near or at the top. And I'm wondering, even at age 37, he's a little weary at this point in time.
Well, it's understandable, and he's been, back and forth. I'm not sure what the current status of the family is, but at one point he was going to get divorced. I think that was even back when the PGA was here, and then they got back together again. So, it's a very stressful situation, but you'd hate to see a guy like that missing from the tour for too long. What else do you think about this field, Dan? Were there surprises from some guys in Memphis that didn't quite make it here to St. Louis?
The only name that people would pay attention to would have been Jordan Spieth, and he missed by a couple of spots. And literally the only player that played his way into the field was Sungjae Im. That's I think the more amazing thing, that nobody 51 through 70 moved into the field except for one player. So the field is pretty much what it wants to be. But the difference is we're coming into this championship with Scottie Scheffler on top. He was the number one player in the world, and all those things about him were true, but he only had one win. And not only did he win yesterday, he buried the field. And what will happen is the attention golf will get this week from outside St. Louis is going to grow substantially.
Right.
Because it's a star-driven media, and he is the star of the sport. And the fact that he's now hot makes him hot for the people who follow golf around the world, not just around the country. So Scheffler did a great benefit to this tournament by putting his name at the top of the list, even though it was already there. And by the way, we don't know the pairings necessarily for the Pro-Am on Wednesday, but we do know that the first 3 players out on number 1 at Belle Reve will be in order: Scottie Scheffler at 8 o'clock, Sam Burns at 8:11, Rory McIlroy at 8:22.
Oh, so we do know that. That's the only information we have.
That's correct. We don't know who they're paired with, but they put the top of the cream right at the top of the field on Wednesday morning. So if people are making plans, tomorrow practice round, the players will set their own groups. They'll post that on the golf course if people want to find players on the course. But on Wednesday, if people want to see Scheffler play or Burns or McIlroy or any of those players, that's all been set in place.
Yeah. Now, do you know any of the names outside of Ozzy that are playing in the Pro-Am that aren't the pros, that are the AMs?
I do not, but
Okay.
I would expect to see at least one more Cardinal in the field, and I would expect to see 1 or 2 members of the Blues.
Yeah, well, I'd be very curious to see what happens. All right, what makes this particular golf course challenging for these 50 golfers?
When Reese Jones redesigned this golf course several years ago, and Reese and I were reasonably good friends, he did something called greens within greens. And so from playing out there, you can place a pin in various points. These are the biggest greens the players will play on all year on the PGA Tour, and it won't even be close who's second. And you can place a hole or a pin on one area of the green and change the club as much as 2 clubs from what you're playing into the greens. So the caddies' jobs are going to be extremely important because, you know the golf course, and on the front nine in particular, the greens rise up off the fairways. The fairways are reasonably flat, but the greens are high up. And so distance to these pins is going to be a challenge. I looked it up when Kevin won in 2018. He shot 16 under, and the best round was a 63 by Brooks Koepka in the second round. So you're going to see good scores on this course. But I talked about the 3 bars on the slot machine. This course is perfectly in shape. The PGA will have whatever they want this course to be will be available to them. There is nothing negative about this summer in preparing this course for this championship. I think it's the best condition we've seen at Belle Reve since 2001. The day before they canceled the American Express Championship.
Dan, what do you think they're going to do on hole 11 is a fun hole because it's a par 4, but it's a drivable par 4, especially for these guys. There's a big pond off to the right, but there's a little bit of a sweet spot off to the left where guys like me try to be if they're not on the green. But that's an interesting hole, and I don't know if they make it drivable each day. What's your opinion of that hole?
I don't think they'll make it drivable each day. And one of the challenges on that hole is it's a blind tee shot. So you're playing into the horizon. And the fact of the matter is those players could hit wedge off the tee and they would still have wedge into the green. But yes, they will, because it's on the back nine and because we're playing this course all from 1 through 18 in that order, that's the only hole late enough in the round where you want to put that option in front of players. Actually, I think the best one to see, but they'll never do it, is the second hole at Belle Reve, the one with the pond and you're cutting across. Players can reach that from a forward.
Oh,
tee,
yeah. I would believe it. Yeah. I always hit the water. My ball almost automatically goes into the water on that one. I play that hole well.
That early in the round. Nobody would dare risk it that early in the round. By the way, a little note, and it came up a couple of years ago, but it's more applicable now. Victor Hovland, who won this BMW championship in 2023, we heard the story at that time. There's a St. Louis connection with Victor Hovland. His father was an engineer and worked in St. Louis for a year. And when he went back to Norway, he brought with him golf clubs. And that's the first time Victor ever had a golf club in his hand. So Victor got started in the game of golf with golf clubs from St. Louis.
I love that story. That's very cool. Well, Dan, I'm excited. I know that the community is excited. I think we're happy that the weather is going to cooperate. The PGA Championship was just amazingly fun out there. The PGA puts on great events. As you know, you've been going to these for decades, and we got some huge names and some media folks in town, so I think we're going to have a good time at this tournament. I am taking off Thursday and Friday so I can be out there with you. So I'll see you at the course. Probably, you're going to be there tomorrow morning?
I will be there tomorrow morning for the 9 o'clock interview with who we're talking about. Brian Fox.
Yeah, I'll be there just kind of, looking over your shoulder, being afraid to ask a question. I'm not sure I'll be asking questions. I'll just follow your lead.
Very quickly, Mark, I'll tell you this. You had Frank on earlier. I've covered tournaments that Frank has worked on the senior event. Frank is the hardest working reporter when it comes to golf in St. Louis.
I think that's because he loves the sport so much, too. He's very passionate about it. But Dan, I'll see you tomorrow morning, okay?
Enjoy it, Mark.
It's going to be great. It's too bad your brother can't be here, Sue.
Oh, I know.
I've played golf with Sue's brother. He's down in Houston. And, I was saying this, and I don't say this to be elitist or anything, but I am. But I've played that course a lot because of my dear friend Jeff Drew. And to be, even being out there, which I will be, but even sitting at home on television, knowing how I've played, there's 18.
That's
when
really
the
cool.
PGA Championship was here, and we just didn't have the resources this year, but I did my show out there for 3 days.
Yep.
Right off the range, and it was right next to 18. And for people who know 18, there's 2 fairway bunkers, and these guys are hitting from way back in the tees. But for those of us who don't hit on the back tees, the goal is to not land in that bunker. So when these guys hit, they'll probably try to get right. Their tee shots will probably land right there in between the 2 bunkers, distance-wise. So the last time I played Belle Reve about a month and a half ago, I flew the bunkers. and I had a 95-yard shot to the green, which technically the hole is like 400 yards, which technically gives me a 300-yard drive, which I'm not sure I've ever had. I think I got a lot of roll on it. But just knowing, where I placed my ball compared to where Tiger went into the... Remember when Tiger went into the creek on 17?
Oh, yeah.
It was our friend Dave King. Dave works here at the station. He's like one of the big voices of KMOX. He was actually the marshal that was next to the creek when Tiger hit his tee shot,
That's
and they were
amazing.
looking for the ball.
That's so cool.
Yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of volunteers out there this week. Cut of the day is coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Eastbound 64, a little bit slow, 170 through Big Bend with westbound slowing. It's mainly right at Clayton Skinker. On the Illinois side, don't forget, westbound 64 is completely shut down. Now, this is westbound only, but between 255 and 18th Street, this will be through Monday the 24th at 5 a.m., all for bridge repairs, and there is a jam out there now. For the most part, elsewhere, we look really pretty good. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. BarronMirror.com. We got to congratulate Barron Mirror Glass and Door. It's their 50-year anniversary, and you don't stay in business that long by not supplying quality products, outstanding service, and having a great experienced staff. So contact Barron Mirror Glass and Door today and let them show you why 50 years is just a start. BarronMirror.com. Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We are really spoiled here, I would say, in the St. Louis area. And there's some things that are right here in our region that we probably don't take advantage of enough. And Innsbruck is one of those communities. It's beautiful. It's only about an hour from St. Louis, 100-plus lakes, all kinds of fish, hiking trails, cabins of all sizes. I remember, when I was growing up here in the early 80s, people would have the A-frame chalets out there. Those were very popular. Now there's all kinds of real estate out there. You could live full-time. The A-frames are more for, hanging out on the weekend or summer living, but you can build a property out there, live out there full-time. You can have a vacation home. They have so much to do. A big pool with a lazy river in the summer for the kids. They have an amphitheater for concerts. They do a lot of stuff with fireworks. There's a beautiful golf course out there. We were just talking about golf. And Innsbruck has been voted as one of the best weekend getaways in the area and one of the best public golf courses as well. One of the things that I think a lot of us like is it's not as far as the Lake of the Ozarks. It's a gated community. You can do everything right there on the property. They take real good care of you. I always say if you're going to stay out there, even if it's for a staycation, get a golf cart. That's going to make your life easier. So check out Innsbruck today at innsbruck-resort.com or call 636-928-3366.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Brian Kilmeade. I always have a great time when I visit you guys, and I'm coming back this November. So join me, Brian Kilmeade, by getting tickets for the show at The Factory at 971talk.com/events.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Hi, this is Congresswoman Ann Wagner from Missouri's 2nd District. I work every day to put more money in your pocket, secure the border, protect our shared Missouri values, and keep our communities safe. Whether it's visiting one of my public events in neighborhoods around the district or by contacting my office, I want to hear from you. If you need help with a federal agency, please contact me at wagner.house.gov.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Audio cut of the day coming up here in just a couple of minutes. A couple of things that I wanted to make observations on that I haven't talked about yet. One from one side of the country, one from the other. First, let's go out west to the LA Times. God love the LA Times. It's one of the the papers that I pay for, $27 a month or whatever. I actually kind of like the LA Times. I really do. I get value out of the content. But one of the things that I've recognized about the LA Times over the years is every July and August, you know what they do? It's like almost clockwork. They do COVID stories, even though COVID is not a thing. Oh, yeah. So like a few weeks ago, the LA Times had their annual summer COVID, freak out story. And it really,
weird.
Nothing's happening. It's just that the number of cases which are non-existent and are pretty much like the common cold, they're all of a sudden, the headline today was, 6 years after the COVID-19 pandemic upended the world, California experts say the disease appears to be becoming more of a summer rather than a winter phenomenon, Sue. That's what they're writing about today. Better headline. And I said this on Twitter. I said, you got to love the LA Times. They can't help themselves. Better headline, 6 years after the COVID-19 pandemic, it's basically less lethal than the common cold. Because just stop it. It's ridiculous. Then there's this. And I think I tweeted this out on Friday. I think that the LA Times and the New York Times, the Washington Post, the media, the reporters, the print reporters are trying to use more video, right? Because when we all go to social media sites, video is nice to watch. So I think they have, I know CBS is doing this in particular with their video journalists, their reporters, their anchors. They're doing more video, like walking through sites of crimes, whatever it might be, but like it's more of an iPhone engagement, if you will. It's not necessarily even having a real camera there, but that's becoming more popular. So there was one in the Washington Post. I'm just going to play it for you here, okay? She's looking into the camera, and she's supposedly driving, or she's in a car telling us about this.
Americans tend to get more skin cancer on their left side, but Australians get more skin cancer on their right side. It's not genetics. It is what side of the car you drive on.
Stop it. So she's basically arguing because she is in the car for 45 minutes, and even if you have the windows closed, you're going to get cancer.
Because a left-sided driver with a sidecar window like this that's closed gets 5 to 6 times more radiation on the left side than on their right side. And these sidecar windows don't actually block UVA. They just block UVB.
I think we're all going to be fine, though, if we have her win. I don't think we need that. She's basically saying you need to wear sunscreen when you're in your car.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'm going to give everyone a pass on that and say you're okay. And just be careful in other areas. But that's the kind of nonsense that you're getting from the legacy media.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, I'm going to make this one fun. We've talked about a lot of politics. We've featured a little bit of the WNBA nonsense with XXXY. The Cardinals won against the Reds earlier today. They're actually in Game 2 right now. They just got off in Cincinnati. But let's talk about what Joshua Baez did on Saturday with 3 home runs, including the very first pitch ever in the major leagues.
The pitch. He swings, and he hits it high, deep to center field. That's back. That's a goner. The first swing in the big leagues. How about that? Joshua Baez goes yard. All Pete Crow Armstrong could do was turn around and wave it goodbye to the bleachers.
Suze, we were watching. We saw that video earlier during the show, and we were in a break, and the smile on his face and the bat flip was just incredible. And he hammered that, but he was not finished.
3-2 delivery. Change up, and that's hammered down the left field line towards the corner. He did it again! Are you kidding me? A 3-2 pitch, and he hammers it into the bleachers in left field. Baez has homered twice.
Oh, but that's not all, because no rookie has ever hit 3 home runs in his major league debut until Joshua Baez.
The pitch. A swing, and there's a drive, and that's hit well to right field. That's deep to right. That ball is gone. That ball is gone. Unbelievable. 3 at-bats in the big leagues. 3 home runs for Joshua Baez. A 3-run lead for the Cardinals. He is homer to center, homer to left, homer to right. Oh, my goodness.
John Rooney with the call.
Love it.
That's
you can't
amazing.
make this up. You cannot make this up. Left field, center field, right field. No doubters, too, by the way. Those are home runs just about anywhere. Have a day, young man.
Mike Claiborne there with John Rooney on the
3
call.
home runs. 5 runs batted in. I need a cup of coffee after that one.
He was getting the coffee ready. That was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, we had Frank on a little bit earlier. Of course, the Cardinals did win the first game. I told you they're in Game 2, and Frank was thinking maybe he would not be in the lineup, but I think Joshua Baez is in the lineup tonight for the Cardinals as well. Let me just check. Yeah, he is. He's playing right field tonight. So hopefully they get another win. Look, they're They're winning series.
Yeah,
And
they are.
I was about to say, okay, this whole playoff talk is nonsense, but let's keep it alive and have some fun right now. We're back tomorrow at 3.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident on southbound 270 in the center lane right before 55. And those lanes get super busy. And we've also got the right shoulder blocked. So traffic, of course, is jammed behind that. Now, the only other real jam is on the Illinois side. And it's westbound 64 approaching 255. Westbound 64 is completely shut down between 255 and 18th Street. This is due to road work. And they are going to keep that in place until Monday, the 24th at 5 a.m. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brought to you by USPS Ground Advantage.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Pump up the volume. When you ship with USPS